What's up, y'all? Kofi Kingston here, and I would love to have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks, depending on what that drink is, preferably non-alcoholic, you know?
How's it going? Peloton Warrior Shane.
Soda.
I would love to have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks.
Maple syrup.
Fella.
I would never have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks.
Welcome back to the dive bar of the IWC. That's right, it's me. I'm at Ref Marsh. We are at WTR the show, and with me today, my only co-pilot, Miss Amanda Jane. Say hello, Miss Amanda Jane.
Well, hello. Did I scare Clump away? And everybody else wants to join
is
us.
terrified. Oh, man. As far as I can tell, we are dimly fucking lit tonight. I like it.
I know. Look at this.
So hard to tell with all of our screens and stuff, and no, we are. This is a dive bar for sure.
Yeah. And look, I have Ricky drinking behind me, you know.
Yeah,
so.
you do.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Well, Miss Amanda Jane, how you doing?
You know, it's been an interesting week. Very interesting week.
Maybe you
Yeah.
can turn up the
And
brightness
today, very interesting day because we are not having not sponsored today.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
You were doing it remote.
We're doing it remote, but I get to taste alcohol that we're testing for the bar and the restaurant. Oh, the perks of the job.
Oh, good. So, do you have a drink at all? Or do you have what's in your glass?
Well, right now I had to slow down. I pre-gamed again.
Yeah.
And I was told don't bring the glasses in here. So,
Yeah. Do you have like some
whatever,
water?
mouth. So yeah. So to let you know, I had a really strong margarita and an old fashioned that was kind of meh. But you know, whatever is what it is. But right now I have regular Coke because I need it. And also I did get my shot number 3.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, and I don't know if you're supposed to be drinking or not.
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah, good question.
Well,
but I don't know.
You let us know how
So
you
if
do. We'll take it from there.
Yeah, if I die tonight, then that's
then
why.
it's a no-go.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I'm having some Pendleton whiskey, a true Western tradition here in the Southwest. Having that tonight. So.
Oh, interesting.
A couple things
Very
to drink
interesting.
about.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and I have just because Clumper is not here, I'll have water too. Look, Fiji, from Fiji, California.
Oh, there you go.
Island.
Yeah, Clump's not able to make it. Our thoughts are with him. Some sort of thing with his pet that sounded bad, so
Oh no.
hope that everything goes well.
Oh. Poor pets.
So cheers to him. Well, Amanda,
Yeah.
there was a lot to drink about. We haven't been able to talk about it much. Me and Kevlar barely touched on it a little bit yesterday. Some of the things going on. You got AEW all out. You got a bunch of new people. You got PWI. Triple H had a fucking heart attack. Cheers to Triple H on a speedy recovery. It has been a busy week, man. So, where do you want to start? Do you want to talk about the PWI?
Yeah, let's start with the PWI. So I don't know about you, but I'm shocked at number 1. What's your feeling?
The way that I believe it was Grim Reaper told us is that the listing goes from like July to June, like it's a summertime thing. So the number 1 spot would have been decided like 2 months ago, effectively. So 2 months ago, how was he doing versus now? Because you're right, at this point, like he's had a few significant losses, but at the time he was the belt collector. He was tanking the ratings in Impact. He was irrelevant in AAA, so he was pretty important in those regards. Like,
Yeah, well, obviously it irked some people because my favorite, Ocean Spray, had to open his little mouth. So that was great. I'm like, Kenny schooled you. But, you know, there is a wicked rumor now that people keep tagging me on, is that they think that Ospreay's going to go to AEW because of that. I go, oh, Jesus, no. Tony doesn't like drama.
Well, I mean, even outside of that, Ospreay's been a shit talker all along. He's shit talked with Seth Rollins back and forth. Does that mean he was going to WWE? You know what I mean? That's kind of his thing. He shit talks top guys. More power to you, dude. Stay in the conversation.
Even shit talks shitty guys. So it's all good.
You don't got to be a top guy to get shit talked around here.
Well, I don't know. Jury's out on that one. But yeah, no. So we'll see. But I thought that the PWI was actually, besides Kenny, because I thought that was just not right. It was actually okay. That top 10.
It seemed all right. I mean, at the end of the day, what I was saying about it yesterday was just that it's just an opinion, and you can tell it's a small opinion by a small group of people. It's not like an overwhelming, and it doesn't mean anything. These people aren't getting they don't get a pay bump for being in PWI. Like, you can have fun with it when your favorite's on top. That's the fun of it, right? Your favorite's number one, and but like last year, Bailey was number one, and it was all like, hell yeah, it's fun. You're number one. This year with like Kenny being number one, it's just one of those things where it's like, all right, I'm gonna let the Kenny fans have some fun with it. But at the same time, we even said it last year. We don't think that it like means much of anything. It's just a neat thing that comes out, a few people's opinions, and it's always fun to look at. But it's like people take it fucking serious, and that's crazy.
They do on the internet. God, Twitter, gee, calm down. The only thing I think it's really cool for, and I was looking at it to see where some of the local people that I see, how they rank, and some did rank, some didn't. So, it's kind of like a goal of people's. Totally proud of Hobbs. He was 93.
Very cool.
Don't know why Ricky was 121, but I believe he was ahead of some people that,
Well, that's because Ricky is currently the holder of an anchor instead of a title.
But if they voted on this 2 months ago, he was on the shelf. Or he had this thing with Sting and whatnot. Yeah.
That's true.
No, he was on the shelf. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's true too. But I do think it's cool, and especially if you're a wrestler, you should strive to be on the list somewhere, because it does mean that the group of people who have a voice in wrestling are taking notice. And if you can make a big enough splash to be noticed, then that's really cool. So I agree with you where I think that I'd almost say like the top 25 is the most irrelevant part of that list. You know what I mean? Because the top 25 is just the single most successful people in the industry right now. It's the people below that, but even below 50 probably, that are just like you said, the local guys, the up and comers. Where are they? Are they getting there? Are they getting that recognition? That's I truly believe the PWI 500 list.
Oh yeah.
50 and below is like the most fascinating and coolest part of the list, and then top 25 is just fun. It's just fun. Who's number one? Is it Roman? Is it Kenny? Ooh. And when it's Roman, people go, fuck yeah, it's the tribal chief. And when it's Kenny, people go, I fucking told you, AEW forever. And everyone online's all like, calm down. It's your just be happy your favorites, right? Like, it's the people fucking go back and forth. Like, it's this whole, this is bullshit. How could Roman? I mean, I disagree, but at the same time, it's not my list. I'll make my own list. Yeah. If I need Roman on the top,
my own list would be totally different, But I will say kudos to Rich Swann, number 10. That was a nice little surprise right there. So I'm glad that he's getting recognized for what he's been doing over at Impact. So that's kind of cool to see.
That's true too. When it comes to the Impact wrestlers, more people are going to see this list than actually watch Impact. So it's really nice to see it on those lists.
Oh, that's another sad part of that. Yeah. But
cheers to Leah Moonlight coming through. Cheers, Leah.
Hey, cheers.
Mm-hmm. But it's cool. It's nice. Kenny's number one this time around. I don't know if he's been number one before. I imagine he would have had to have been at some point. Yeah.
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 He had to. So I mean, I just don't take it seriously. So when I see Roman at number 2, I go, I wouldn't have done that, and I move on.
I'm sure Cody fanatics are upset that he's number 11.
Is he 11?
Yes, he is.
I'll be honest. I don't know if there's very many Cody fanatics at this point.
Oh, there are.
Oh yeah. Was that one? Was that one flipping out?
The girl?
Yeah.
I don't know. She's not on my timeline, and nobody that I really follows her, so I don't see her stuff.
Yeah, she's not on my timeline anymore either. She was nice. I met her one time. She was very nice. So I'm not trying to talk shit, but I know you've had more interactions.
Yeah, and I'll just say this, okay? And this is how I know it's gonna be a good one. You know, if someone is your friend, how can you only have pictures of them at like meet and greets and I don't know, paid events?
Oh my God.
I've just feel bad now.
Here we go.
No, don't feel bad. That's the truth. Hashtag truth. Okay. I mean, you know, I can like right now, if I wanted to bust out on my phone, there's a picture of like Ricky was making selfies in the car while driving my car.
Okay. All right. Everybody calm down. Everybody relax about the selfies.
I got
Yeah.
I got news, not news.
News, not news over here, producer.
Tomorrow, Capo Cagna or Kappa Cagna, as I discovered, that Carmela's Wine is going to have an announcement tomorrow. I have no idea what, but I'm really, really hoping that maybe it means that it's sold nationwide. I don't know. Fingers crossed.
It'd be nice if it got some retail love. I do think that the difference all of a sudden for the handles to change to Kappa instead of Capo, I do think that's probably going to be part of the announcement. Is probably an entire rebranding, which means the bottles you have now may become collectibles. So hold on to those and get those signed by Carmela when you see her.
Yeah.
It didn't occur to you at any point, producer? He was all like, "Oh."
Yes. Now I'm glad I have a couple I haven't opened because I think of them as so special.
Oh yeah. No, I mean.
Yeah. It is.
We'll have to talk about it, but if you have an empty one inside that's not damaged, it might be worth actually like putting in a closet. No? So the next one you have, we'll put in a closet and we'll have that one signed. Put a cork on top. It'll be good. Just because we keep some outside and they get weather damage. That's all I'm saying. The label. Yeah. That's all. Other thing, happy birthday, Sam Roberts.
Happy birthday.
In the immortal words of Sam Roberts, who cares? Who cares? I'm just kidding. I'm just fucking around.
Obviously, we do.
Yeah, we do.
Happy birthday,
cheers, Sam Roberts. Our goddamn role model, Sam Roberts. Cheers to you. He's one of the good ones. He's a good guy. Yeah. Well, last professional broadcaster. I mean, from the aspect of this, Amanda, it's hard to argue could he or could he not be our role model outside of Bailey, obviously. He's a fan who's found a large platform as a fan to talk about wrestling from a fan perspective and has been able to weasel himself into the WWE on not like on a full-time talent contract or anything, but, you know, on appearance-based. He's on the WWE network, now Peacock. I mean, hey, if he's not the goal, then I don't know what, as fans, the goal is. Like, especially for fans like us who have a stupid podcast to just talk some shit about wrestling.
Yeah.
Well,
you know, there are some who want to be AEW's equivalent.
That's true.
But they're like so, I don't know, they're so dry, they're dull.
Well,
you know?
Well, there's that. But even if your goal is to take to get into AEW the way that Sam Roberts has been able to work with WWE, then he's still your role model. He's just the other direction. But he's the same roadmap. Go ahead, producer.
Our role model, even if he's starting some beef with our Sam Stackhouse.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Stackhouse.
Uh-oh.
Stackhouse and Sam Roberts looks like got a little bit of heat. So I say stay tuned. Listen to Not Sam Wrestling. Find out how this turns out. But on this last episode, Sam Roberts referred to Sam Stackhouse as some fat kid.
I got fat shame, Sam. I take that.
I mean, I don't know if it's fat shaming, but Stackhouse isn't tiny. I mean...
Oh, I know, but, you know.
I mean, he became viral because he crushed a dude to death and a ref checked on him. Sam Stackhouse became viral because when he crushed a dude through a table, the ref checked on Stackhouse, and everyone said, "What the fuck is wrong with that ref? Like, check the guy underneath him, the pancake."
They went to the Aubrey Edwards School of Refereeing.
Yeah,
but
check the easiest person to check who's obviously fine, and it makes your job easier.
But I'm all here for Sam versus Sam feud. I'm all here for it.
I want so bad Sam Roberts and Sam Stackhouse to stand in a ring staring at each other toe to toe. Stackhouse doing the old Hogan finger wave, nah, and having
Get Lauderdale to book it. GCW.
having Sam Roberts starting to Ric Flair like, no, you've misunderstood. I think Sam Roberts could take a bump. I think he could take a bump.
Who's fat now? Who's fat?
Yeah.
Yeah, who's fat now?
Yeah. Some fat kid looks real different face to face, doesn't he? Like, yeah. Oh, you misunderstood. You misunderstood. Could be a lot of
That's
fun.
the best. Oh my God.
Could be
I
a lot
wonder,
of fun.
where Stackhouse, if he hit the 500.
Oh, the PWI 500.
Yeah. 500.
I was like, God damn, why is she being mean like this? He's been cutting some weight last I saw.
He's so serious.
I didn't see him on it, but I didn't scroll through the whole thing. So if you want to pull that up, or if
Yeah, I'm going to look right now.
Yeah,
I'm
go
gonna
ahead and
look.
scroll through it and see if he's in there. If not,
Okay, why is Hammerstone at 54? I don't know. Yeah,
are you
Al
saying
is
you
right.
think he should be higher or lower?
I think he should be higher.
I do think he
Yeah,
should be
absolutely. Actually, surprisingly, in the 30s right here, this is a weird one because you've got Aldis at 30, Jacob Fatu at 31, Cesaro at 32, Pac is 33, Adam Page is 34, 35 is AJ Styles, 36 is Daniel Bryan, Adam Cole, bye. He's
Whose
37.
list is this? This is a little
This is
wild
the
to me.
500. This is the 500 in the 30s.
But
Yeah,
who
38
decides
euro.
this?
The
I don't
PWI Pro Wrestling Illustrated. It's a small panel. I think it's like 5 or 6 people.
You probably asked Uncle Dave too. Oh, and Jay White is number 39.
Feel very confident that they talked to Dave Meltzer about this, or at the very
course.
least, if not talk to Dave Meltzer, read Dave Meltzer to figure out where they should put people. Or I wouldn't also be surprised if it came down to like, here's our top 5. Dave, where should we put them? Well, Kenny should be number 1 for sure. That's how he talks.
My.
I don't know if you've listened to Meltzer talk, but it's really weird.
Yeah. And one of your favorite wrestlers in the world is surprisingly kind of high up there, and I don't agree with that. Johnny Gargano is 43.
You just sent me on a roller coaster of emotions, and I'm pretty pissed at you right now, I'll be honest.
Yeah. I mean, they rank him higher than Ray Phoenix. What the hell?
Well, Ray Phoenix wasn't a tag champion at the time. He wasn't even on TV.
It doesn't matter.
He hadn't been there in months. Except what was it? Was that even?
Was he injured? He was injured.
Yeah. He got injured by his own fucking brother, man. It's gonna take some time.
Whatever. Nick Gage is 61. That's kind of cool.
That's really
Kevin
cool.
Owens 63. What the hell?
Yeah.
That's ouch.
Well, let's talk. Well, we'll talk about that in a bit. We'll talk about that.
We'll talk about
don't.
him.
We're gonna talk about him. His current
look.
status in the company is not indicative of his ability to be a higher status.
Yeah, exactly. And friend, we're big fans of this man, Bronson Reed, 73. So he's gone up.
Oh, that's cool.
I hope. Oh yeah, he's a free agent now. So Jonah Rock, our man formerly known as Bronson Reed, is a free agent. Let's see where he goes.
See what he does.
I do hope that he just continues to stay positive because.
I think so.
I personally, I don't want to hear of like any more of how someone feels about the company. I just want them to go forward, and I want to see him shine.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I mean, I get it, but at the same time, like, I wish that wasn't what people wanted to hear the most of, because I really don't care about grievances, especially right after. Who was it who said it? I can't remember the podcast it was. Someone was talking about how it's really upsetting the amount of people who try to get people on their podcast immediately once they're released and able to talk about it. And he's like, because you're talking to people who just went through something that was a huge bummer. They lost their dream job in a lot of respects. They didn't quite hit the heights they wanted. Most people you're talking to, it's not the Daniel Bryans who got to leave on his own terms realistically.
Yeah.
You're talking to people who were a little bit blindsided, and it's like talking to somebody immediately after a breakup is what they said, and then saying, well, what do you think about your ex? Well, maybe now's not the right time to talk about them. Maybe give that person 6 months to a year to say, hey, how about now, reflecting back on it, as negative and as terrible as it felt initially, knowing where you are now, how do you feel about your time then? But nobody wants those interviews, and that's the problem. Revisit
We
those.
should do that.
Like interview Moxley now. The amount of people who talked to Moxley right when he came out, I'm not seeing a ton of interviews with him now where they really talk about reflect on WWE with us for a moment. Like, they're never talking about it. Now they're just talking about, hey, tell us about how amazing Tony is. That's what people want. How amazing is Tony Khan? How perfect is AEW? How terrible is WWE?
Yeah.
I'd rather hear
my new one topic of the day, which we'll talk about later. Do you have any fear of your life? Because yesterday you totally could have died because of what happened on AEW. He cut his fucking damn song. I'm sorry. I'm still blown away by that.
Oh yeah, how they just interrupted his
Yeah, you can't
thing.
cause Nina Ray. You can't have that without. He's probably sitting these fuckers. Who's gonna die? I don't blame him.
But yeah, like as of now, I'd rather hear someone ask Moxley, can you tell us a little bit about your time in WWE and what it kind of meant to you in hindsight, knowing where you're at now? Like, all things about now aside, what do you think about your time there? Are you happy with it? Like, how did it go? And he also left on his own terms too, but it's like when someone leaves right away and you go, so tell me why you left. Why'd you break up with them? What was so terrible? I don't think the company is 100% terrible top to bottom all the time. But it doesn't mean that people don't have terrible experiences in good in those aspects as well. So, but going back to the idea of Bronson Reed, Jonah being back on there, being top on the list, I'm excited to see what he does next. I think he's an undeniable talent, and he is one of the ones that blindsided not just us, but a lot of the fans as to what do you mean why would anybody release him? He seems like the type of person you get into a contract and you say, okay, lock him in forever. Is there a forever contract we can give to a guy like Bronson? Like,
I'd love to see him in MLW.
I really want to see him in a match against Hammerstone.
Yeah, him and Hammerstone. I should ask West Coast Pro if Hammerstone's still the champ, if they could consider that. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, start
I have
making
friends
moves.
in high places, so.
Yeah, absolutely. Make it happen.
Yeah, apparently I might be, this is the rumor, I will confirm it, I might be picking up Murder Grandpa at the airport when he's in San Francisco. I kind of don't want to do that. I'm scared.
You're going to get one of those taxi cars or like rent out like a police car that has the cage in between. You're like, sit in the back, sit in the back.
Sit in the back.
All right, I'm sorry. Producer lady here, I'm not familiar with Murder Grandpa.
He's a Japanese wrestler who is an absolute insanity.
He's like 53 now, I think. 52. I don't know.
I didn't grow up with wrestling, so I'm still pretty new. So
all right,
sorry.
Amanda, what are you doing on Sunday? You want to get some Murder Grandpa matches together to show to producer this weekend?
Yeah, I will show you some, producer lady, and you'll be, whoa. The guy, there's a reason why we call him Murder Grandpa.
You select like a top 3, maybe make it a top 5, bring it to a top 3 so you have 2 on deck.
Okay.
Murder Grandpa matches, and then we'll see if maybe this Sunday we can either do like an actual watch along or not watch along, or just get it together and see what we can't do this weekend.
And I promise you will at least get his entrance in actuality at least once.
Because I'll be
honest, if I don't deliver on that, I feel like I'm going to die. Like, he's going to say, you know what? I'm spying on these people. Strike her with lightning.
He's going to get into your car, look at you, and be like, you bitch.
But no, when he smiles, he smiles at the ladies, and it scares me. Because I don't know. I swear I told you guys that on episode 1 before. I saw him, he smiled at me, and I turned away and ran away. I turned around and ran away. That was scary.
Hey, that video that Bishop showed was Zicky Dice smashing somebody in the face. That wasn't you, right?
No.
I didn't think that was you. And I was like, wait, is
No.
Bishop trying to say that was you? It was just a fan that just got knocked the fuck
No,
out.
because if Zicky Dice ever did something like that to me, oh, he'd be dead.
That's what I mean. I was like, you got heat with him, but it can't be from being kicked in the face. I don't remember that.
No, no, that was not me. No. But I think the purpose of that was because I'm always like, you need to move, you know? Like, you know, you don't just sit there, you know? I mean, I've said it on episode 1. And, you know, I think maybe another episode 1 too, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, no, you got to get out of the way. You're either going to get really hurt or you'll hurt the wrestler.
Well, I'm going to agree to disagree. Like, I get your concept, but I do think that there's a responsibility of the performers to not put the audience in danger.
But here's the thing, though. You know, I think it's a two-way street. Because if you're sitting in the front, okay, you got to know that there is a little bit of an element of possible danger.
There shouldn't be.
No, because there shouldn't be. I mean, you know,
I'm going to view, not participate, like in depth and get injured. If I wanted that, I'd actually just sign up to be in a match.
Yeah. No, I'm not sitting in the front row hoping to get steamrolled. I was at an indie show too where this family was up at the front, the barricade with a little kid, and the talent Irish whipped somebody into the gate right there. But the dad didn't even see it coming, and it fucking smacked the kid right in the mouth. And one of my friends who was the commentator was all like, yeah, that parent really should have grabbed that kid. And I was like, no, that wrestler should not have thrown another man into a child. And he's all like, no, if you're in the front, you have to know that you can get hurt. And I was like, absolutely not. Unless you're literally signing a contract that says you understand you could get hurt there, which they don't. They just sell these fucking tickets, and it doesn't say you're going to get hurt. Then it's up to the wrestlers to know that they can't just put human beings in danger. You just can't do that. There's an expected safety at going to a show. Well, I mean, I agree with you that I think that there's less of an issue if you're in a further back seat. You can always take a shitty seat, or you can spend the money to sit up front and see your favorites up close and also not get hurt. So I do agree that I think there's a two-way. I think there's a conversation to be had there. But at the end of the day, if you fucking kick me in the mouth because I'm watching you in your show, you better have someone in the back there with an envelope of cash or have a lawyer, because I'm going to be pretty pissed about getting kicked in the fucking mouth watching a couple of people with fanny packs wrestle.
Well, I will say this. Parents need to, as regarding with children, and I know I've said this on episode 1 before. I felt like my friend and I felt on the Jericho cruise, the first one, it was our duty to protect this kid, because I knew they were gonna do. It was a deck, like whatever. I don't remember what they called it, but they were gonna go out on the deck. Pretty much, you knew that was gonna happen. Yeah. And there was no way to get out except for going our way. So you know. Hey, I took the fall for that, but actually it wasn't their fault. It ended up being stupid security's fault, who's never worked a thing in their life. So
I'll tell you why it's their fault.
The security?
No, the wrestlers.
It wasn't the wrestlers' fault at all.
It is the wrestlers' fault, because a fucking match is supposed to happen in the ring, and if everybody leaves the ring for every match. But
this match was one of those, you know, like it was supposed to go out on the deck, you know, kind of like almost like a Falls Count Anywhere or whatever. Yeah. So that's not the wrestlers. But it was, at the end of the day, was that guardrail was not safe to begin with. Because, and then also, too, if you do want to blame the wrestlers, you know, you have the 2 shortest guys on this damn cruise fighting each other and, you know, going over a rail, which, you know,
they shouldn't be doing.
Well,
they just flat out shouldn't do it. Like, fuck. Like, if you go to the subways in New York, you have breakdancing kids go onto the train all the time. They go, it's showtime. They go in there, they're doing flips, back flips, front flips. They're hanging upside down, feet wrapped around these fucking poles that they're holding onto, and it's fucking incredible. And you know what I've never seen? one of those kids kicks someone in the face because they're just getting reckless. They have control over their body and they know how they're moving. I've seen dudes kick a bill of someone's hat as they're flipping on purpose to knock the hat off and make it flip around. Like they know what they're doing. They have control of their body. If you are a professional, you don't hurt people who are watching you.
So
You
you're
just don't
saying,
fucking do it.
So you're telling me right now that Sammy Callahan and Marty Scurll are not professionals?
I'm saying they're not as good as you think they are if they don't have control over their own body.
Well,
Or, here's their options. They're either not as good as they think they are, or they're fucking reckless. You're either being reckless if you're hurting fans, or you're not as good as you think if you don't know how to stop yourself from hurting someone who's just trying to watch it.
Well, I got hurt. It had nothing to do. Well, it had nothing to do with the actual act of theirs. It was the security guard because we saved the little kid.
Yeah.
And then when they were gone, the security guy was like, I don't understand why this thing is still wobbling. And it was on my foot.
Oh, yeah?
And it kept, so it wasn't, I don't blame that, but I joke that those two are the shortest motherfuckers on that thing.
They are pretty, yeah.
And, and the whole thing. So, but if you are a parent, come on. You don't put your kids up there. And also with a lot of people, and I'll say this about sorry if you're from Chicago and AAW is your promotion, but let me tell you, they pack them so tight when they're at Logan Square that you can't get out of the way, And I know just by body language of watching some of these guys that what they're going to do next. And yes. If it's something I feel like I need to get out of Dodge and I can't get out of Dodge, then shit, I'm fucked. Either I'm going to get injured or they're going to get injured, And
that's a problem. That's what I mean. That's a problem. So let's talk about this too then, because we're on the topic. Mm-hmm. I think that there is a huge difference between family friendly and being for children.
Yes.
And that's something you brought up here. A lot of indie wrestling is not family friendly. AEW is not family friendly. That doesn't mean that other things are for children. You know what I mean? It just means that there's ratings for things, right?
Yeah.
If you think that there's only going to be reckless behavior that could hurt people in the front row, then maybe as a parent you don't go to that show because it's not family friendly. It's really looking for people closer to adolescents, early 20s, the immortals of us all, right? The age groups that think we're immortal and we can never get hurt. You and I take a scuff on the knee 10 years ago and we go, how funny is that? That wrestler fell right into me. I take a fucking fall to the knee now and I go, fucking piece of shit. No. My knees are already bad from years of hard work, and now you're going to cripple me so I can't even do more hard work. No. You know what I mean? There's a thing.
I think that maybe with me, it's a little different because a lot of these guys, especially with people who they see around a lot and go to a lot of different things, because these guys know, and, they know I know what I'm getting into and whatnot. GCW, definitely not for the children, definitely not.
Family-friendly show.
No.
But let's talk about that a little bit. I don't think by definition that WWE is for children because it's for families. I keep going back. I think of Vince and WWE being very similar to Jim Henson and the Muppets.
Yeah.
Sesame Street was for children. The Muppets were for families. And there's a difference. Don Rickles was on the Muppet Show. No child is going to know Don Rickles and think he's funny. He's a fucking insult comic.
Yeah.
But a parent can watch Don Rickles be funny with a puppet, and the kid's going to laugh anyways, and they don't have to explain shit to the kid. They can both just enjoy it for their own reasons. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where Sesame Street is for children. It is literally trying to teach children how to count, the alphabet, how to share things, and it talks to people like kids. I think that there's a huge disconnect between people understanding that family-friendly doesn't mean for kids, and that being R-rated doesn't mean for adults necessarily, right? When I watch AEW, it feels like watching Beavis and Butthead. I don't say for one, it's very much not family-friendly, but I also don't think as adults that Beavis and Butthead aged great. I don't go back and watch Beavis and Butthead now and go, God, they were just so clever. You know what I mean? I watch Beavis and Butthead reruns and I'll laugh at things and be like, that was fucking stupid. That was terrible. I can't believe I even like that. You know what I mean? I was immature and immature people
Ren
like
and
this.
Stimpy.
Ren
That's
and
how I feel
Stimpy.
about Ren and Stimpy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not for adults. It's for adolescents.
No, it's kind of for, you had to be a little older than an adolescent, but not
What
quite yet.
do you call that? What age group is adolescence? I thought that was like early teens.
No,
that not
because I
right?
think Ren and Stimpy was more for later teens.
Well, it's still teens. I would say
Yeah, but,
for me, when I meant adolescent, I meant like 14 to 22.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But I could be wrong on my definition of adolescence. So that's absolutely possible. But I mean, when I watch things like Beavis and Butthead and Ren and Stimpy and AEW, I go, oh, this is for when I was like 18 and laughed at anytime somebody said boner. You know what I mean? This is like watching Wayne's World, the wrestling show.
Well,
You know what I mean?
I think people with AEW, they think because you have Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus with someone who looks like a kid with Marco's son, that's family friendly. No.
Definitely not family friendly.
Marco's
The reason
son,
Kevlar doesn't watch it. Whoops. The reason Kevlar doesn't watch AEW is because he can't watch it with his kids. There's too much of stuff, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I'm not saying that as a negative, but I am saying to identify that AEW is quote for adults. Really, all it means is it's not for kids, because it's also not for adults of a certain age. It's really aimed at a very specific age group of young-minded and immature. If your storytelling involves giving the middle finger for a big reaction, you're really aiming towards 16-year-olds who just learned about the middle finger. You're really aiming towards people who go to Spencer's Gifts to buy shirts.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Can I get
That's why
fuck on a
Ricky-
coffee mug? Let's go to Spencer's. If you have a mug that is a pair of tits, you'll love AEW.
Whoa. Well, why do you, that was the big thing about Ricky using the whole stroke daddy thing is because he, like obviously, if he wants longevity in his career, you gotta, be able to at least kind of have kids watch you. But now that's out the door, because
It's out the door over there.
Yeah, because Tony, that's not what it is anymore. Like for me, Dark Order, as silly as it can be, that still is not family friendly.
Yeah.
If you really look at it,
100%. And I'll reiterate, I don't think that's a bad thing. I just think that the conversation gets skewed a lot. When people say WWE's for children and AEW's for adults, I think that's a very skewed and microscopic view of it. AEW's, I mean, you could also, it's the whole fucking verbiage of everything, right? You could very much say that AEW is not kid friendly. It's not for children, but WWE is for everyone. It's rated E for everyone. Can an adult enjoy the same show as a kid and it not be an immature Sesame Street teaching of alphabet? Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Justin Time coming through saying, cheers to the dive bar of the IWC. Cheers, Justin.
Here's Justin. Woohoo!
I almost reached out to you, Justin, but the only reason we didn't is because you just did that phenomenal show with Bishop over at TWT podcast, Terrible Wrestling Takes Podcast. If you go to twtakes.com/TWTs and use promo code DIVEBAR, get a badass discount on some cheap merch already. But Justin Time and Bishop just did a huge breakdown of AEW in a very similar light of what we're going to be doing today. And the only reason I didn't ask either of them to be on today was because they did their own form of it, and I don't want to step on the toes of that. So, guys, check out Terrible Wrestling Takes Podcast this week as a little partner piece to this. I'll consider it.
Yeah.
Take credit.
I'm
Take credit where it's not due.
I'm curious to see what Bishop has to say.
Oh, yeah, you're going to like this new one. So check that one out. But that was a bit of a sidebar, I know.
Yeah. No.
Because
it's true.
I don't think I'm being negative towards AEW when I say that it has a very specific viewership. I think that's a positive thing.
No,
Find
it's-
your viewers and attack it, right?
But that's what WWE does well too, is they know what their viewership is. Granted, sometimes you get a little greedy because you want everybody and you want all that money. So you see
Right.
stupid things like, I don't know, like Cameron Grimes, like his hat, or I'm sure the Drew McIntyre sell a sword.
They have
Please
an
tell me he
inflatable sword now, yeah.
See, yeah. See, there you go. So that's their way of, reeling them in,
Yeah.
So.
And AEW absolutely knows that they are alienating sections of the audience that they can't have. And I think that they're okay with that because they're leaning into the section of the audience that they can have. I think what we're seeing right now, and I'll just say it as we're digging in a little bit, I think AEW truly has turned a corner, and they actually are the thing that we've said they've never quite been. They aren't pro wrestling any more than WWE is not sports entertainment. AEW is sports entertainment. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
They keep pushing that they're pro wrestling because they use it's just their term, right? The way that WWE doesn't want to be, I don't know where they are at this point, obviously, but the way that they wanted to get away from the term pro wrestling because of all of the negative connotation that was involved in the pro wrestling verbiage and moving into sports entertaining as a phraseology, AEW is doing the exact opposite of leaning into, or it's exactly the same thing, different side of the same coin. They're leaning into pro wrestling as their verbiage when they're really putting on a very similar product. However, WWE is trying to catch an audience with a wide net, and AEW is trying to catch a very specific audience with like a harpoon. And I think that that's totally fine to say we're willing to alienate kids and families if we can get like the single males, which is really what they're going for. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And yeah, when they go like it's a pro wrestling show, this is where pro wrestling is. That's the same thing as when you hear WWE say sports entertainment, sports entertainer. Same shit. Identical, because they're not putting on anything that's different in that specificness. What they are doing is using more blood, more cutting. They're using more curse words. They're using more profanity, more innuendo to make more fingers.
Yeah.
They're making it so it will alienate a part of the audience, so that part of the audience that they're not alienating feels like it's special for them. Oh, people can't watch this. Oh, a kid can't watch this show. This is amazing because a child can't watch it is not the same as being pro wrestling versus sports entertainment. I don't know. I've been on a few soapboxes tonight.
Oh
Let's see.
no, that's totally, I mean, this is what this conversation is like totally about. I mean, I think that, as they evolve, and I don't even want to say WWE is evolving, it's, same old shit. They just add some new shit here and there, whatever. But as AEW evolves, it is turning a different corner. People are like, oh, well, I don't understand. You guys are so anti WWE, but where were some of these guys just now? Does it make a difference? I don't know, whatever. But I don't like this forbidden door thing anymore. They need to get over that, because honestly, we haven't seen much. It's really only been Kenny and now Mox, obviously.
Something's going on. I think we're still live. If you guys are still in the chat, let me know. I'm not seeing video on my side. I'm hearing weird audio come from somewhere else.
Hey Siri, stop.
Forbidden Door is pretty much dead, Justin Time says. I'm not getting video on my side. Is anybody having any issues, Justin? Justin still has us, so I guess it's my thing.
Yeah, I see you.
And I'm hearing you live, which is good. But all right, well, technical difficulties. Take a drink.
Hey Siri,
Oh,
is it coming through the
it is somehow playing through AirPlay through my phone, so I can't keep track of the chat like I used to. I'm airplaying it now. That's what happened. So I'm going to go ahead and quit that out so I can't airplay it, but it also means that I won't be able to keep track of the chat, so I'm going to need you to keep track of the chat at this point. So that's what happened. My phone started airplaying. Guys, take a drink. Cheers. Technical difficulties. It's only episode 1. Guys, it's Resting on the Rocks. Every episode is episode 1. Mm-hmm. So wired into my own house. My house took over my phone just so I could take over the show.
It's like, no.
Yeah.
Like that movie with Sandra Bullock.
Jeremy, cheers to you. Thanks for coming through right after technical difficulty. Appreciate that.
I get a new soda.
Anybody who wants to be a part of the show, part of the chat, part of the derailing of it all, twitch.tv/Wrestling on the Rocks, where you can join us. Give us a follow on there. Prime subscribe. It buys me a drink. And I can tell you right now, I really need a drink about now.
Yeah.
So
we're going to get into the thick. That's why.
Let's keep it moving. I know I feel like I really got off on a few tangents there. A few things I did want to talk about with you, though. Because these things I'm saying, too, I think people can probably skew it to be a negative thing, what I'm saying about AEW, but I'm not. I actually feel like this is positive stuff. They're starting to really form an identity. You know what I mean? Yep. Where before it was all like, are they really sports entertainment? Are they pro wrestling? Are they different? Are they the same?
Are they more than
Are they for
just
kids?
Their EVPs.
We've been saying this from the beginning.
Yeah, they've had a lack of identity where it's all like they keep saying this, but then they do that. They're going to do this. This happens instead. They say they're this, but I'm watching that. Like, it was this huge lack of identity. They've created at this point a big identity. And I think that it's actually at the point where we're going to see the thing that everyone's been predicting, but I keep saying hasn't been happening. I think now we're going to see it happen. The idea of actual competition in a sense. In a sense, they will never be quite competition. In another sense, they will absolutely be an influence of competition. Producer?
Yeah, I kind of think of it not necessarily as competition, but I think of it more of like Disneyland versus your county fair. People love the county fair. Like where I'm from, county fair is huge. We have big stars that come through. It's fun. Everyone loves it. But it's not this global network, like Disneyland, and the studio and all that stuff. Like they're not, one's not like better than the other. They're just completely different things.
Yes. Because in the idea that the infrastructure of WWE is much like the infrastructure of Disney, Disney will never have competition on the level of Disney necessarily. Disney's not on the verge of going out of business, and WWE is more financially stable now than they've ever been. They've got no competition when it comes to the idea of the Attitude Era, the Monday Night Wars. That was literally a fight to keep the business alive. That's not a problem anymore. But the competition we are going to start seeing, and I think now is the big turning point. We're going to talk about it here in a minute because I think that there's one signing I can point to say this makes a difference where the other ones didn't. Now you're going to see competition in talent. I think we're going to see competition in potential for, how is WWE going to pivot? Are they going to try and take any of the viewers from AEW? Are they going to try and bring in a more, I don't even want to say adult. I would say maybe more broad, because I do think that when you're family friendly, you also alienate a section of the audience. The same way that when you're not family friendly, you're alienating a different section of the audience.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
Perfect example.
Go ahead.
I think Cena's the perfect example. They loved it when he was, the Dr. Thugonomics, and, they loved all of this. But when he started to become, white bread, that's the thing with it. Me, regardless, still with two. But throw that one in there. Okay.
That's a booty reference joke for those of you just tuning in for the first time.
And also, if you're listening, just so you know, I had one hand out and looking like I was grabbing a lot. Normally it's two.
Great.
Anyway.
Great narration.
Yeah, great narrative. There you go. But yeah, no, Cena is like the perfect example. And then I think when he came back recently, Out of sight, out of mind. Everyone missed him. People who
Yes.
booed him, the kids, everybody. And so I think that's the one. And I know that every company probably wants one like that. He just happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say Roman too. When Roman went away, he was heavily hated when he went away. He was booed for 10 minutes by just saying, "It's my yard now." Because he beat The Undertaker. People booed him so bad. And obviously, there's a certain point where we can all take a step back and say, as humans, this is more important than as viewers. And him getting cancer, I forget what it's called, but it was like a resurgence of his cancer.
Oh,
Let a lot of people step back, right? Leukemia coming back.
Yeah,
It let a lot of people step back and step away and say, like, hey, we don't, well, it's not remissions when it goes away. It was the opposite. So, I mean, I don't know what it's called.
But wasn't he in remission? I don't know.
He was in remission, and then it came
Oh,
back.
okay. Mm-hmm.
Like I keep saying, I'll repeat at this point.
Yeah.
But the idea is he was so hated, he goes away for a long time. When he makes his return, it was huge. It was big. A lot of people were excited. They cheered for him because people were able to view him at least a little bit different from just like, is he overpushed or this and that. I think that there's a lot of people, no matter how much you hate him, when they disappear, they come back. Goldberg gets a great response every time he comes back because people say, I hate Goldberg. But when you hear that music and he walks out and you think to yourself, oh my God, I've never seen this guy wrestle. Woo! You know what I mean? Like, it's easy to cheer people you haven't seen in a long time. But.
Oh, by the way, just FYI, I did not see Stackhouse on the 500.
The 500. All right. Well, I'll tell you this: with Stackhouse having beef with Sam Roberts,
he's going to be up there next year.
Yeah. Oh, yes. That's exactly.
Yeah.
Every time Sam Roberts buries someone, they have a breakout year. So this is great.
Yeah.
This is great.
Shout out to my friend LSG over from Ring of Honor fame. He's Space 389. You go, buddy.
Yep. Was there other news you want to talk about specifically before we just kind of get into it? Because I feel like we're pretty far into it and we can just start talking stuff.
No, because anything that I would talk about, except for one thing I just popped into my head, kind of will have to do with what we're going to talk about. But can you believe that Trevor Murdoch won the NWA title, the 10 pounds of gold? I was shocked.
Awesome.
Yeah, I know it was awesome, but I was like shocked because I didn't think, I was like, wow.
I even said in a group chat, I said the real shame of this Murdoch Aldis rematch is that more than anything in the world, I want Murdoch to win that title off of Aldis, and they're just not going to give it to him. And I was like, and that's what sucks. And I was like, I even said, I was like, I'm so tired of Aldis as the champion.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to disrespect the guy. But
we all know that had COVID not happened, and
we lost it fucking 2 years ago.
Yeah, I know, but at the Crockett Cup, I was ready for it. Front row. I was ready.
Yeah.
Ready and waiting. Yeah.
But Trevor Murdoch is now an NWA champion, and I think that there's almost nothing that's as beautiful as that in the wrestling industry right now.
No. And I love Trevor Murdoch.
Yeah, for those of you who are not familiar with him, I mean, I kind of think he's just pretty awesome and seemed like someone I would actually see at a truck stop who could kick your ass.
Yeah, but he also seems like the kind of guy you'd bump into at a bar and he would say, let me buy you a beer. You know what I mean? Like, he's so fucking good. And he was trained by Harley Race.
Yeah.
And he takes a lot of that to heart. He's really, truly like one of the last of a dying breed of like truly old school pro wrestling mentality. Like, I think he still has his warehouse job, does he not?
Yeah, I believe so.
Or was it that he got released of it during COVID? I think he was let go during COVID, and it was like a huge problem, right? Yeah. The dude's legit. And yeah, I think that nothing means more to anybody than winning that title means to Trevor Murdoch. So nothing makes me happier. I saw that.
Oh yeah.
I saw it. I didn't watch the match. I didn't see what's going on. But when I saw the Twitter little blast go out, I just about got choked up. I said, "That's it right there. That's everything."
I know. So did I. I was loving it. But if you're not familiar with Trevor Murdoch and his work in NWA, one of the things I thought was great to see full circle, and not because it's Ricky, but that was his first match, and then win at Hard Time. Ricky won the television championship.
Yeah,
it was against Trevor Murdoch, and I thought those were they both were really good matches too. So
incredible.
Justin Times in the chat and said match was just as awesome as the moment.
That's so good. That's amazing. Yeah. And both those guys are so good. Aldis is fucking fantastic in the ring. But I just think it's amazing. I mean, the idea of Murdoch winning that, and like you said, I think also of that same tournament, Trevor Murdoch versus Dan Moff, one of the greatest matches I've ever seen live. I'll put that in my top 5 matches I've ever seen live easily.
Yeah, that was a great match.
Absolutely incredible.
I will say that tournament was pretty phenomenal. I thought, for the most part, it had some great wrestling in it.
Yeah. So congratulations to Trevor Murdoch. 10 pounds heavier, and you look every bit sharper for it. Cheers to Trevor Murdoch.
Cheers, dude. I'll open this.
Hell yeah.
It's only Coke, okay?
Yeah. It's all good.
It sounded impressive, I know.
So let's talk about it. Like I said earlier, I don't know if anybody's caught on so far. We're really not going to do a breakdown of everything. We're not going to break down Rampage, break down All Out, break down Dynamite, and then break down NXT. I am going to talk about. We're going to talk about a little bit more of big picture stuff.
Do we want to get NXT out of the way first? Because there's a lot of AEW.
Can't believe you said it that way.
Oh, damn, that was rude of me. Excuse me.
I think that, okay, so we'll get NXT specifics out of the way, but I do think there's a conversation to be had that involves both, to be quite honest. But NXT specifically, there was a lot of stuff on the show this week that it was just hard for me to watch. All the Gargano stuff, Dexter, Indy, Candice, all the Bachelorette stuff, Bachelor stuff, I find it hard to watch. It looks like YouTube bullshit. It reminds me, in a large degree, to Southpaw Wrestling, which was a YouTube show.
But that was good because it was
funny.
Yeah.
But it was on YouTube for a reason. If that was on SmackDown, you would not have liked it as much.
No, probably not.
Yes. And that's what I mean. If this Bachelor shit was on YouTube, I'd say, okay, that's fun. They're having a good time. They're doing their thing.
No, Johnny Gargano was too dry. No.
I didn't say I would say I liked it. But Southpaw, the first couple episodes of Southpaw that I watched, I didn't like it. I was like, it's just a bunch of wrestlers goofing off in the back, wasting time. What do I give a shit? But as I watched it, I could understand the endearing nature of them. Just a bunch of wrestlers in the back having fun.
Yeah.
That's what this shit is looking like on NXT right now. It's just some dudes having fun in a sense that goes, this absolutely belongs on YouTube. I think that these people have every right to make this stuff. But I'm not surprised that nobody's watching on national television. If I didn't have matches I was looking forward to, I would have turned it off easily. I would have been like, no, I'm not watching this.
Yeah, as a super casual viewer who, again, hasn't followed every single person for years, Gargano being one of them, I just don't find it funny. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
it's not interesting, not funny.
Yeah. And to do so many segments in between really good matches really fucking hurts the product, if you ask me. I just sit through like 4 or 5 fucking Bachelor segments to get to MSK versus Oni and Danny Burch.
Yeah.
Which was fucking brilliant. I didn't even get
to watch that yet.
Yeah.
That's my type of match.
I don't even think we had LA Knight or Cameron Grimes on this week at all.
No.
Grimes was in the laser tag or whatever.
Oh, yeah. Grimes was in laser tag, and I don't want to fuck that at all.
Justin Times in the chat saying, I'm not looking forward to this wedding next week, and I was enjoying the index stuff, but it's been completely butchered for me. And what was interesting is that, like, a few weeks back, I remember when the love story was continuing, I remember turning to Marsh and saying, "Oh, I hope this isn't because they're leading to a wedding."
Yeah.
Someone that does not have much of a wrestling storyline, story background, didn't grow up with watching wrestling, and that's what I got from it.
Yeah. I'm very disappointed in this. I completely relate to the Wade Barrett character at this point, where every time it comes up, he's like, "This is awful," and he doesn't say like, "This wedding shouldn't happen" necessarily. He just goes, "This is fucking garbage." I'm all like, "Yes, it is."
Oh, Lord.
And Beth Phoenix constantly putting it over the way she does. It's like God bless her for being so good at this, but it really undermines my fucking faith in Beth Phoenix to do quality stuff.
But look, my favorite, I gotta give props. Freaking Wade. He's just disgusted by the whole thing. And you can tell it's real because it
feels real.
Horrible. Like I noticed that in particular this week. I don't know why.
But what did we like about the show this week?
Hold on. So there's a lot of good stuff. But what I wanted to ask you about is, because I know you didn't get to watch a lot of it. Tian Shaw had a match that was cool. What?
That blows me away.
Yeah.
Because we've been kind of waiting for that. And it's kind of weird with just her and homeboy.
Yes.
Why am I blanking on his name? They got too much to drink. But
Boa.
anyways. Yeah, Boa.
It's Boa's birthday?
What?
It's a
Happy birthday,
Boa Day?
Boa.
Happy Boa Day.
All right. Well,
Happy
he
Boa
said
Day.
he said on Twitter, "Thanks for all the love." So
He talks? He talks? He types. So that's what's going to happen. He's going to start cutting promos on Twitter only. They're going to put a mic in front of him. He's going to...
Damn rude.
What I wanted to ask you about, Amanda, specifically, because I know that you didn't get to see all of it. There was some cool matches, good stuff going on. There was some shit comedy stuff. They have announced, obviously, for a couple weeks in a row, and despite a lot of the other podcasts who don't pay attention to fucking anything and pretend they're all experts in everything, it's because they pre-recorded this weeks ago. When they announced the new look and the new logo, and then people have been like, well, why has it taken so long to even put out? And why would they announce that it's coming soon and not just pull the gun? What people are fucking acting weird about it. And it's literally because they're going to be using a different building and or setup. And they recorded all of this about 3 weeks ago, so they had enough time to get this ready for this next week. So it's, to me, a stupid conversation of people who pretend they know more than they know. But we are getting an overhaul in at least one way. The only way we know with certainty is we're going to get a new look. Because we've seen those little sketches of like a new looking arena, which looks a lot more like a SmackDown or a Raw, which excites me. We got that new paint splatter logo, which doesn't bother me at all. I like it. People act real weird about the logo change from NXT, but if you look at NXT, if you've actually been watching it consistently, even since it's just showed up on USA for the past 2 years, this is going to be like its fourth fucking logo change. The fact that people are like, I can't believe they're completely rebranding it. They do that all the fucking time.
Yeah. This
is like the third title belt that they've had. The women's belt gone through a bunch of different iterations. It's what they do down there. I'm not concerned about that. But given what we do know, let's talk a little bit of rumor. The idea that they might be moving more towards an issue where main roster is getting talent that aren't main roster ready. So the belief that Vince and Bruce are going to be a little more hands-on, at least in the bigger vision and not the day-to-day, which is what it really sounds like it was debunked down to. The idea that they're going to be maybe upping the production value of it. What do you think about what's coming? What do you think about the idea of them especially leaning in towards not indie talent and what we have coming up? Are you excited about what the change is? What do you think?
Well, I'm liking the fact that they're going to be a little bit more dedicated to, we sent these guys up to the main roster and, whatever. Because I mean, to me, the biggest case of, oh no, man, I don't think that was the great move, was Ricochet. Still to this day, I will always think that. And every time they release people, I'm always thinking his name is going to show up on there. Why? Because they put him up, they pushed him up too quickly, because what he lacked was mic skills. Still does. God bless him, but no, he lacks that still. And so I think that when you have people like that, even like poor Cedric Alexander, I love him to death. I love him, you know, he's had some great matches, but again, another person they pushed up way too quickly, and there's not really a spot for him. Yeah. So, you know, I'm interested to see, you know, them really churn out, you know, the talent this way, if they're going to go back to that old mentality that, you know, they're going to be doing with Vince taking control and everybody. So it's exciting to see.
Look what happened before. Back when it was the time where you were the NXT champion and then you went to the main roster, you were usually put into a program that mattered and something happened, right? Like, you look at even as far back as Seth Rollins. When he got to the main roster, he didn't exactly flounder. You look at Kevin Owens. While he was the NXT champion, he ended up in a match with John Cena for the Intercontinental title. Yeah. Like, you had people who were becoming main roster ready. And now there's so much shit going on there that if you believe the rumors, which a lot of times we don't, but if you believe the rumors, Keith Lee makes it to the main roster and has to get sent back down to NXT quietly to retrain on how to wrestle in a manner that is more suitable for Raw. And that has to be a bad look. You know what I mean?
That's horrible. I mean, like, Keith Lee, I've seen some incredible Keith Lee matches live.
Yeah.
And it floors me to think that, oh yeah, we just quietly kind of send him back, do it our way, you know? But it's like, there must have been a reason why you signed some of these people. And that's what I keep saying about the last round of cuts, was some of them were pretty new as far as, you know, being signed. And it's like, you know, you knew what these people were getting, you know, what you were getting into with these ones. And, you know, there are people who will happily pick them up, you know, and whatnot. I mean, I don't understand Ring of Honor for whatever reason. I mean, I'm surprised they haven't been trying to dip in whatever, because they still kind of suck, but you know.
TW Takes in the chat, TW Takes podcast said, you guys need a quote blows kisses emoji. Smooch, smooch.
Really? Yep, that's what he said. No, we need a smooch. Were you here early when I put you over? Because it's weird now.
No.
I mean, more time when I was putting you over earlier. It would have been more timely.
Yeah. We didn't talk shit about Delaware.
I know. You said nice things about
Delaware. It was really cool.
Of. Yeah, see, he missed the part where you put him over, and then comes in and starts throwing smooches left and right.
I know.
What does he think he is? The Young Bucks? I'm coming around smooching motherfuckers.
Oh.
What? That's what they did. Everyone's seen it. He's seen it. We're still on NXT. So I'm excited about the rebrand. I'm excited about the potential new look. I'm excited about the idea that if there is a consistency in belief of like if there's a consistency in what is being done in NXT and what we need to happen on the other side, I think we're going to see a lot less changes when someone goes from NXT to the main roster, which I think is largely a newer thing since they were really doing USA stuff. Most people, because I feel like it's only happened since they went to USA. I feel like before then, when Ember Moon was building herself up before USA and she made it to the main roster, she was the same Ember Moon. Same music, same entrance, same gear, same red contacts. It made sense. She floundered, I think, for her own reasons. I don't think it had anything to do with her presentation. I think that what we're going to see moving forward is probably something much more consistent between NXT and main roster. And I like the idea of that because I do think that a big problem right now, which I'm glad they addressed, was that there's so much happening in NXT that was going to be NXT specific forever. And I feel like that Adam Cole was a representation of that. And I don't think that there is a coincidence that Adam Cole's negotiating his contract, and at the same time of them failing to negotiate a contract with them, they say, fuck it, we're not doing indie wrestlers anymore. We need to do talent we can bring up to the main roster and be ready. Look at Bianca Belair. You know what I mean? Look at Otis. I don't even think Chad Gable was on the indie wrestling scene. You know what I mean?
No, I don't think he was. Mm-mm.
Roman Reigns never went through the indies.
Definitely no.
Like, I mean, you can go on and on and on about whoever's on there and who did indies and who didn't. And there's going to be a mix. But it's easy to say there's a reason why they want to be able to train their own, you know?
Yeah.
Gable Stevenson just signed with them. Congratulations to Gable Stevenson. Officially announced. You heard it here first. Yesterday we were talking about how he was signed. It didn't come out to the news till today, so that was interesting for us.
Mm-hmm. We know things.
Yeah. But
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah, sort of. But yeah, I'm excited to see what happens with NXT because I do think it needs a big change. I think it needs a big shift, and I think that with that shift, we could potentially see a consistency between NXT and the main roster like we used to. And I think that people neglect the fact that there used to be consistency. Even when Aleister Black first showed up to the main roster, he had the same everything. You know what I mean? I think we're seeing a difference now for a different reason. So we'll see what it all means. Do you want to talk AEW?
Yeah, but actually, to lead into AEW, since you mentioned Adam Cole, baby, when you saw him come out on the pay-per-view, right? God, it's all bleeding into one. That was Adam Cole as I knew Adam Cole, because when I watched him on NXT, it's a different Adam Cole. And I think that this ultimately is the better place for him. Now, if you were to look at other people that were in an undisputed era, would that be better for them? No. I don't think Kyle would do anything at AEW. He wouldn't. True. It'd be stale. Because he would need to have Bobby Fish and be Red Dragon and, whatever. But Bebe is, I enjoy this Adam Cole. I don't know why, because it's totally him. It's like he's smug, whatever, arrogant, and it works. And for what AEW has, it works. It's not about, he was part of Bullet Club. No, it's just that how his character is or was back in Indie Land, it fits in with their whole aesthetic.
Yeah.
And I think that I know he's feeling it. It's a whole going back to my roots. All they need is to have Steen come over and, maybe try to find El Generico somewhere. Because I still think he's somewhere in Mexico.
I heard he's in Mexico. Do you have something you want to say, producer?
TW Takes is just saying in the chat, Gable Stevenson is an exciting signing.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
I think it's actually very exciting that he'll be there.
Uh-huh.
So I want to talk about specifically, we don't need to go through all the all-out stuff. I didn't watch it. I know you watched it. I actually really didn't like the Adam Cole promo on Dynamite. I thought it was pretty stupid how he's going in on Tony Schiavone trying to look like a tough guy, but Tony Schiavone's like 3 inches taller than him and stuff. And
yeah, well, when you see Adam Cole, this was actually, speaking him being short, wasn't it interesting when you see him next to like the Bucks and that whole little circle of people?
He's just
he doesn't look that small. I mean, small, but he doesn't look as small.
Someone also posted a picture of a clearly Daniel Bryan standing across the ring from Kenny Omega, and they're like the same height. But Kenny Omega's build is 6'2", and Dana Bryan's build is at like 5'9".
Well, Marty Scurll's build at 5'10", and we all know he's like maybe 5'6" on a good day. Easily.
So, but I think it is cool what's happening in AEW right now, and this is what I'm going to say. I think what we've been building towards is Daniel Bryan shows up on AEW.
Uh-huh.
And to me, that's the single biggest signing that AEW has ever had.
Yep.
I can't think of a single person who's gone there that wasn't in every way obvious or expected one way or another, right?
Mhm.
We had the castaways from WWE, for better or worse. We
Mhm.
had the WWE didn't know how to use these guys, for better or worse. We had the best friends of the Bucks and Kenny. We had the returning legends who couldn't get into a program on WWE because of injuries or otherwise and showing up. We've had anti-WWE guys signing over. CM Punk going there wasn't big for AEW necessarily in the regard of the moment AEW made their first press conference where Jericho signed on, everyone was asking, are you getting CM Punk?
Yeah.
Because Punk has been expected since the beginning because he's anti-WWE more so than pro anything else.
Yeah.
So it was just about finding the right time, the right amount of money, and about proving to CM Punk that you aren't going to destroy the legacy of CM Punk. Luckily for CM Punk, his legacy is wrapped around being anti-WWE, and that's the foundation of AEW, so it works.
Yeah.
But to me, what makes Bryan Danielson the biggest signing of AEW is it actually makes AEW sound like a cool place to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no. I definitely know what you mean. Because even watching him kind of promo like he did on Dynamite, for me, it was like he just got a resurgence in his body of loving what he does, loving wrestling. And I think Bryan Danielson, not Punk.
Then you didn't watch all his shit in. Well, I think CM Punk looks happier than ever, and I think it makes sense.
That's a
But
different
Daniel
topic.
Bryan always looked happy. Look at Daniel Bryan when he
no,
goes
but-
out to WrestleMania. Look at Daniel Bryan when he went out in the Thunderdome even. He always looks like this is what he wants to do and he loves doing it. And that's
But
what I love about him.
It was more about it because because sometimes I feel like at the E, he was just kind of like, oh, it was there. You're going through the motions. Yeah, good acting. All right. But this was more of that feeling. And I can kind of feel it through, my screen. I mean, you can feel it was a different, it felt different around everything. Everything felt different. CM Punk? No, it didn't feel different. Same old shit, Phil.
Yes.
But
same old shit with CM Punk. But what makes Daniel Bryan so fascinating and so interesting to me is that I'm going to pull up the quote again because I had it yesterday. It brings a legitimacy, but I think more so what it does is he brought up this point, and I don't know if you heard the whole thing after the fact. I'm going to find it real quick because there's a great quote when he was in that press conference afterwards where he talks about having to sign away. So he says, Bryan Danielson says, the offer WWE gave me, they were going to let me go do some other stuff on the outside. So WWE offered him that contract that we all kept asking, why won't they just offer him a contract that lets him do other stuff? Well, they did. He goes, I hate to say this, Vince sometimes, and he says, he and I have a great relationship. I love him. I do. Sometimes he's overprotective of me. I want to be able to push my limits. Then he says that he really battled. He goes, I really battled back and forth because there's a lot of people there that I consider family that actually are legitimately my family. And, people that I love. They're people that I love there. So it was a really tough decision. And he's gone on to say things where I even saw earlier he put out a thing where he said that he doesn't know if he wants to even continue doing the yes chant himself. He goes, the fans doing it is cool. But he says he has a lot of respect for WWE and the things that are their intellectual property. The things that are under the WWE umbrella, he doesn't want to contradict that at all. The amount of love and respect he has for WWE is, I think, what makes this so important. You know what I mean? This isn't a bitter dude.
No, and I'm really shocked that we didn't separate him, and because everyone was like, when you hear the final countdown, we know, and I think that if they had kind of separated a little bit of that probably would have been great, because that's the only bad thing I think about his debut and the signing is because, people do that yes chant. And I tell you, there's these
Oh.
ones that bitch about, oh, I hate WWE, la la la, but you're totally the first one to jump up and
Yep.
yes,
Exactly. To me,
Yeah.
so I felt like this is why I think that Daniel Bryan was the most important one, was because A, he's not bitter at all. He has nothing but love for WWE. And B, they did everything they could to maintain his WWE character. He's not coming out as the American Dragon. He's not coming out in a red robe. People are still chanting
red.
red.
On the
Yes.
Titantron, but
yeah, he's not coming out to Final Countdown. He's not coming out to ROH stuff. He's coming out to WWE Daniel Bryan stuff. And that's what made me go, for one, boom, Tony, you're obsessed with WWE, which is fine. But let's stop pretending you guys are trying to not be WWE in any way. You are trying to get big WWE talent to come over and utilize the popularity of WWE to launch yourself, which I think is fine. The same as Hogan coming over in yellow and red for WCW. That's all good. I'm not saying this in a negative way, but I think that Daniel Bryan is equally an expose of the obsession of AEW and WWE when they say there isn't one, and B, what AEW is offering talent that WWE is not, right? They are two different entities when it comes to talent now, and it's very clear because of Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan was able to say, he goes, also in that thing, hey, I'm not here, like CM Punk said he's here to lift up the younger talent. He goes, that's not me. I'm here to kick their fucking heads in. And he said that there's only so much you can see from screen. He goes, I watch these guys and I see someone like Jungle Boy and I go, yeah, he's good, but how good is he? And he goes, and there's only a certain level you'll know until you're in the ring with him. So the idea that the reason he went was so Vince McMahon wouldn't have the overprotective reach that he has, which I think is also fair for Vince to say he doesn't want somebody getting injured or being seen on a lesser light who he's protecting, like a Daniel Bryan. But I also understand Daniel Bryan saying, well, if I want to lose to a guy, I want to lose to a guy. And if I want to be dangerous, I want to be dangerous. I get that too. But there's a totally different hurdle that AEW is providing that WWE is not. And I think that's that cool factor that AEW just got by getting Daniel Bryan versus anyone else. No one else there's got that same factor. Adam Cole was Adam Cole before NXT, after NXT. He's there to play with his friends and his wife. Daniel Bryan doesn't have that same connection with everybody. I don't fucking care if they're married.
Don't throw that propaganda out there.
I don't know the difference.
We're not those kind of journalists. Come on now.
Yeah. TW takes it in the chat, though. He does say, what are the chances that Bryan pulls a Mike Chioda? You mean shows up a few times and leaves? I don't think that's what he's going to do, but maybe. And Chioda's not back in WWE, so I don't know what you mean about it specifically.
Tony wouldn't let that happen.
I think that he's too valuable. I think you pay him so much money, but that's just it, is I think Daniel Bryan going there adds a level of excitement that I don't think has been there in AEW prior, but not at all. Especially not for me. For me right now, my biggest interest is what is Daniel Bryan doing in AEW. When I watched Dynamite, I fast-forwarded a lot of stuff, but when Daniel Bryan was on, I was watching. Because he's so good at every aspect of this business. And we know, so this is the thought experiment that started AEW. What happens if you put a wrestling company on the backs of the wrestlers and not on the backs of the promoter? I know everyone says that Tony's got final say, and that's what Tony keeps trying to say. He's got final say. He decides who wins and loses and the matches that are going to happen. But that's kind of it sounds like. Everyone else is doing whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
I think it wasn't until getting CM Punk, Adam Cole, Ruby Soho, we'll throw in there, and Daniel Bryan, that you really start to say, well, now I really want to see what can happen in a company where those people are allowed to do whatever they want to do. Malachi Black, I'll throw in. Because before then, everything I was watching I didn't like because everyone was doing whatever they wanted to do, and it was shit I didn't like. They're bad comedians doing shitty comedy. People who think they're funny who aren't funny. people who don't really know how to wrestle trying to figure it out as they go. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They're starting to close that gap.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Most certainly. Agree with that. 1,000%.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I do have some, so we're talking about Punk.
Go ahead.
I heard some things because we all know hashtag Team Cabana over here. I was like, what is going on? Because there was no coincidence that the first few times Punk was there, Cabana was not there. Mm-hmm. So apparently Tony made them come to an understanding with each other because they don't want that drama. Does it mean they're like BFFL? No, does not. But for the sake of where they're working and everybody else, they can put that aside and, try to be as, I don't want to say friendly, but not as confrontational maybe.
So they're just avoiding each other?
No. I mean, they'll if they see each other, they're going to be civil. Yes. I mean, Cole still rolls his eyes, I'm pretty sure. But, it is what it is. I don't think that Punk's wife will ever, because she didn't show up in Chicago, she won't go over there. Because part of it is she hates Cabana. And he doesn't like her. So, I mean, Cabana didn't even go to his wedding. Wow. So, yeah. Not before all this lawsuit shit. But anyways.
The chat, TW Takes is saying, what are the chances that Brian pulls a Mike Chioda? And also, Chioda left because of professional integrity, supposedly. If the AEW style isn't conducive to Brian's activity, would he leave? Or will AEW yield to Brian?
I think it has to do with having the control of your own matches, right? Daniel Bryan's the wrestler in the ring. Mike Chioda is the referee. Two things on that real fast. The referees maybe get shit upon all the time, so it's easier for a referee to say, I'm just not going to go there and be shit on all the time, than a wrestler to say that I'm having bad matches for the sake of it. But also, Chioda put out a tweet right before All Out saying he wanted to get the crowd to chant Chioda to get Tony Khan to listen, almost as to insinuate that Tony Khan never offered him a deal. But I was under the same impression as you, where he left for a reason. But I also wonder if the ad-free shows work he was doing and the Puerto Rican stuff he was doing is not as financially viable as he assumed it was going to be. And I think maybe he's looking for a payday. But I don't know. I don't know at all. And that's wild speculation. But go ahead, Amanda.
I think that with Brian, I think that with him and knowing that everyone's always like, oh my gosh, there's, they get to do a lot of, Tony lets them do a lot of things and have a lot of creative liberties. And I think for anybody, especially someone who's as talented, and being able to do that and do it with people that either, the up and comers or someone like a Kenny Omega or whatever, I think it's powerful and it says something. So that's why I don't think he's going to go anywhere, but strange things happen, but I don't.
Because also I think Daniel Bryan's going to be able to do whatever matches he wants to do. He's going to be able to go to Tony and say, well, I want my next match to be against this person. Okay.
Yeah,
he's going to cherry pick.
Yeah.
100%.
And that's fine.
Or if you're Chioda, you don't get to go there and say, this is the match I'm willing to ref, and this is how those people have to respond. They're going to say, fuck you, you're a referee.
Unless you're Aubrey Edwards. But anyway, that's a different story. She has the worst
ref. Shitting on her. And they've been shitting on her left and right. They make her
look
like an idiot
here's
all
the
the
thing.
time.
I will say this. All Out, Dynamite, even on Dark and Elevation. Okay. Homegirl needs to chill. Okay. She's way, way too much. And it's like it almost in her actions and mannerisms sometimes overpowers the match. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, God, I really wish you, calm down. And for as much as people don't like Knox, people don't like, Bryce Remsburg, that's too much. It's way over the top. And I'm like, no. I mean, I'm not saying everyone got to be like my buddy Paul Turner, but she just is really bothering me as of late.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that people are finally being a little vocal about she sucks.
Yeah.
But
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so, but yeah, going back into with like Punk, where it's very interesting that obviously his first target, if you want to call it that, was Darby. Yes. Not surprised, but the new target, I'm very surprised at, because I did not think that was going to happen, or at least now. Well, at least now, no.
Why?
And I'll tell you why I don't think now is because there's still a little bit of unfinished business. However, I also think that I wonder, is it time? Are those two, Hobbs and Starks, are they ready for this? I ask myself this.
I think Starks is absolutely ready for a match with CM Punk. 100%.
Yeah,
Starks should be in the main event as it is. He's
I'm
better
not
prepped than most all these guys.
Yeah, but the best thing, and I cannot wait for this, and I was hoping that it would have started on Dynamite. I want to see him with the mic with Punk.
Yeah.
Because if he can, hold his own, which I know he can, that's going to raise him up another level.
Mm-hmm.
I think with most people, and how legitimate he really is with it. I mean, I don't know if did you see Punk's little speech?
Yeah, I saw.
Or did you fast forward?
I watched it. I was unimpressed. If I'm being completely honest, it was really generic. It was very generic. But when it came down to like when he was calling out people, he called out Ricky first, and the crowd reaction. Yeah,
people were cheering.
Yeah,
I mean,
the crowd was behind
for
it.
me with Punk. The crowd in the Midwest is always going to react to him, and positively. But what happens when you go? I don't know about New York when they do their whole New York thing and their Tri-Cities debut, but the litmus test is come out west.
Yeah.
We got some chat.
I don't think it has the same buzz,
TW Take says Kyoto left. It just moved. Kyoto left because professional integrity, supposedly.
You already read that one.
Okay. And then just in time, Paul Turner is the only good ref AEW has.
Fair.
He's senior ref, by the way.
Oh, nice.
TW Takes. Hey, Amanda, can we just get a Ricky versus Ciampa, Swerve, or Escobar match?
Wrong company.
We watched Ricky versus Swerve. We did it on our watch along.
Yeah, we did. We did a show, Bishop. Go back and look at episode 1. A special edition.
I believe it was a buyback episode 1.
It was a buyback episode 1.
Yeah, we did a watch along. Ricky and Swerve. In a match on an Indies.
Beautiful.
It was pretty fucking great. But
yeah,
I do think that. So there's a few things to note here, right? So there is that. Also, I mean, as long as we're talking about that promo, I thought it was actually I loved it where CM Punk tried to fucking babyface and tried to be tough, where he was all like, out of respect, I'm going to let you finish, but don't you ever interrupt me again. And I love that Taz went, okay, tough guy, since you want to be a tough guy all the fucking sudden. You know what I mean? The way that Taz talked down to Punk, I loved it. And I was completely behind Taz. Yeah, because that's the other thing, too. If I'm looking at Taz and CM Punk, and I have to literally fight one of them to get out of a room, I'm going for Punk, easily. Mm-hmm. Taz seems legit as fuck, and CM Punk seems wannabe as fuck. I'm not to say I can win a fight against either, but I'm saying if I had to choose, Taz is legit as it gets, and I loved when he said, I was trying to be nice, but if you want to pretend to be a tough guy, let's get tough guy. I was like, fucking hell, let's do it. But outside of that, this is what I think is interesting about it. Guys like Ricky Starks, guys like Brian Cage. So online today, his wife posted a comment someone had made in an interview. I couldn't tell who made the comment, but they talked about how Brian Cage was being misused in AEW, how he's not real happy about it. He made a comment about it, about how that they hadn't said that, but they agree with it. She made another comment about, like, made a video saying that he's absolutely, if you've seen anything he's done in any other company, you know he's a top guy, and he's being absolutely misused in AEW. And I think that's all fair. I think it's a fair argument. I think it's something we talked about. I think something I talked about when he first came in was, this is a dude who should go right to the top, but we'll see if they even do that. And he's been buried in the same, like it or not, as much as we love Ricky, he's in this mid-card conversation, consistently buried under the other talent in this faction. He's been made nothing of, and I think it's a fair enough argument. So if AEW's providing a cool factor right now that WWE is not, I think WWE is still providing a challenge. It's a different challenge. Can you work in WWE? Can you be on the top? Guys like Ricochet and AJ have made comments before about having been successful on the indies and knowing they could make it big and continue to be successful on the indies and make the money, but they want to prove it to themselves that they can be on top in a place like WWE, because that's where they grew up loving. I do think it's interesting you're going to start seeing a split of talent that way. I wonder if guys like Ricky maybe miss their shot right now, right? If they're not going to be looking at any talents, is a guy like Ricky even going to be available to go to WWE if he's unhappy with what he's doing in AEW? Maybe he doesn't want to. What about Brian Cage? If he's got this big indie talent and he made an uproar on the indies and then fizzled out on the AEW national TV, does that fuck over Brian for trying to get to WWE at some point? You know what I mean? I think it does make for an interesting dynamic there. I'm not saying that anybody needs to jump ship from one to the other, but you have two major companies paying people major money. You'd expect people to figure out what they want from both. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no. I think with Ricky, he and I've talked about this before. WWE, though, yes, that's like the dream, but they really wouldn't know what to do with him, to be quite honest. Would he go? Yeah, I mean, who wouldn't want to go? Because you have all these guys who went and that was their dream and whatever. Yeah, some of them, it ended really quickly, but life goes on. Now, does AEW have, like kind of these issues? They have so many talents, but honestly, it's like, can we spread the love? Because you're not even really spreading it on those other shows, because you're seeing the same old people. Okay, that, whatever. Because I can't tell you the last time Ricky wrestled, and that was, I believe it was against Cage for the belt.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it's tough. Like, I'm sitting here like, okay, then everyone wants Hook to start wrestling, which I think he probably will. And it's hard, like, because he's so talented. He's got so much to give. But I don't think, like, right now, when he first got there, I mean, Tony was very high on him. Mm-hmm. I think that he's just gotten lost in the shuffle.
And I think that's just it, is they're bloating their roster so much that now there is a shuffle to get lost in. Where early on it was no one gets lost in the shuffle. Everybody's a winner. Nobody's a jobber. Everyone gets a title shot. To be honest, at All Out, when Ruby Soho made her debut in the Battle Royal as the Joker card, my biggest problem was that she won it. Not because I don't think she deserved it, but because I felt like it was just another status quo AEW signing. We're going to bring in somebody with some hype, give them the title shot, and then throw them back on YouTube for a while. And my fear is that Ruby Soho is going to get lost in the shuffle, even though she's easily in their top 3 women's wrestlers there. And I would say that top 3 does not include their champion. I'm thinking even if I came up with a top 5, I don't know if I would include their champion as far as actual in ring and promo talent. And I think Ruby Soho is
Top
really close to the
6.
top. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
You know,
I would say their top talents that they have, you know, if I were to, like, no particular order, if you want a top 5, easily, I'd say probably Ruby Soho, definitely Thunder Rosa.
Yep.
Serena Deeb when she comes back and it's not injured. And I will actually say, I think Sheeta is actually, you know, I think Sheeta's great. I mean, of all of the Joshi, she's probably my favorite.
She's one of the
but
best.
If you were to also look at, if I didn't name her, I think, you know, if I didn't say Sheeta, I'd say the other one is Taya Conti. She's been very impressive.
She's overrated, but I think she can get
She is overrated, but she's getting better and better.
Yeah, she is.
I think Anna Jay is overrated, but
she's actually overrated and not as good as Tay Conti, so I give you that as well.
Mhm.
But at the same time,
one
I think both of them
underrated
have the
person.
ability and everything to go with it. So
yeah, an underrated person, I really think is Penelope Ford.
Yeah, she's
really do. I know
she's been thrown aside for no reason.
Yeah, but because she had all that stupid bullshit with Kip and the Miro, the best man bullshit, and that's awful. I mean, but then again,
either way,
you know,
the idea was that like everyone seems to come in, get a big signing, get their title shot, and get thrown to the side. And I just don't want that to happen with Ruby when she's easily one of the best they have.
No.
At the same time, I can only be so excited about Ruby just because, like, from a personal standpoint, she's not really fucking fan friendly. You know what I mean? Like, because I follow a lot of wrestling art fandom sites and pages and Instagrams and Twitters, and I've never seen her like anyone's fan art or interact with any fan in any way. Like, she's not fan friendly. And so there's part of me that just kind of goes, well, fuck you. Because here's the deal. The drawing I did of her and Liv Morgan when they were together, I did like 2 different ones. And sometimes on some of them you can see who sees it. And I could see that both her and Liv had seen the drawings I'd done, and neither one of them liked it or interacted with it at all. And it was easily the one that took the most amount of time. Like, I spent almost 20 hours on this one piece. And for both of them to kind of like shit on it that way, I was like, oh, I'm not going to invest that much time anymore into that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no.
And I know that that's like a weird kind of petty thing, sort of, but it's also like, if other dudes like Kevin Owens, Paul Heyman, Cross, like, I mean, there's a lot of people who have liked this stuff or interact in such a way that you go, okay, they appreciate what people are up to. You know what I mean? The idea that I've never seen Ruby interact with a fan in a way that makes me think she appreciates what they're doing, or that fans are out there, or they're taking their time to do this, really cooled me off on Ruby. And we talked about it before. It's not from her being on AEW. Once she reunited with Liv on the main roster for the second go of the Riot Squad, completely cooled off. And I did the fan art just hoping to get a little, you know, trying to get back into it. And after seeing that, it was really deflating. And I was like, you know what? You guys are being goofy anyways. Like, I thought it'd be cool. But so it was one of those things too, where it's all like, I'm cool. I recognize she's one of the top talents over there. I really want her to be successful, but part of me has lost the investment because of how they could be with the fans and how they aren't with the fans. You know what I mean?
No, I get that. I totally get that. I mean, you know, I don't know. A lot of, like, I would say a lot of women's wrestlers are like that. But then you have some that are pretty standout, you know?
You know who's like several of mine and even retweeted them? Alexa Bliss.
Well, she's awesome.
She's awesome.
I mean, she's getting a goddamn fucking Jack in the Box in the shop. I mean, whoa.
And also, if you want to talk about women who get a lot of unnecessary hate, she's definitely top of that list. And for her to still be appreciative of fans who take the time to do the art and stuff, it means something. And so for somebody like a Ruby who wasn't even on TV hardly at the time, to kind of shit on it that way, and then even I made another one for her return,
but remember
that too, and I was kind of like, all right, we'll forget it.
We're in the Midwest.
Yeah,
these are her stomping grounds. Bring her to California. No one will know who the fuck she is.
Good
Do
point.
they care? No.
Good point.
Would they care?
Let's see.
No.
I'm gonna hit the chat real quick. TW Take says, "You know what I mean," and then Justin Time says, "At least I wasn't the only one who thought Ruby winning was the wrong decision." And that's what I mean. It just felt like an obligation. It felt like a sign-on bonus. It didn't feel like like for the right reasons. Well, you're here now.
No.
I mean, think about everyone they've ever had sign on. Even Brian Cage, he comes on, gets his title shot. Brody Lee comes on, gets his title shot. Everyone just comes in and gets their title shot and gets cast aside. Thunder Rosa got her title shot. You know what I mean? Like everyone just what?
I said Ricky did it.
His first
Hobbs
match
has
was a
it.
title shot.
Well, that was an
And-
open challenge. We
Right,
knew
and
that-
also
and everybody knows that Cody wasn't going to drop the belt to some fucking random dude that majority of people don't know. And let's
exactly.
face it,
Ricky wasn't
let's
a big
face it.
signing.
Nobody knew. And now everyone's like, oh my God, I'm such a huge fan. I'm like, fuck you. Where the fuck were you?
100%.
You know?
Ricky
Yeah.
wasn't a big signing when he signed. He wasn't.
No.
You and I talked about him endlessly, but he wasn't a big deal then. You know what I mean?
No.
So they get big deal signings. They put him because all their signings are, well, WWE missed the mark on them. They never had their title. Let's give them a title shot. Ruby Riott had Raw women's title shots, SmackDown
Yeah.
women's title shots. She just lost them all. And now she's about to lose another one. And that's what bothers me. She's here.
Well, you know,
They're here to prove a point, and all they're going to do is the same fucking shit. And I want
Yeah.
her to take that title off of Britt Baker immediately. That's what I
a
want.
lot of people want anybody to take the title off of Britt Baker. But I will say that with Thunder Rosa, okay, talk about someone with her fans.
Mhm.
Thunder Rosa really is for everybody.
She's great to her fans.
And that's how she's always been. Because I remember, you know, God, I've been watching Thunder Rosa shit for at least like 6-7 years. And she's always been so good to everybody, you know, and not only just that too, but for some reason, her character, even though, yeah, it can be a little intense sometimes, but it's not to the point where it's pushing, it should push people away. So I think that with her, there's so much appeal. And I think that, you know, they need more people like that. They do. I mean, no offense to like people like Nyla Rose. No offense to, you know, I don't know, the bunny. She still irritates me. I don't know why.
Mhm.
She really bothers me. You know, I mean, you've got to really, they need somebody who I think with that belt, who basically is kind of that beacon of, okay, this is what it should be. Britt Baker, is that the one? No. But, you know, I don't know. There's a couple of things.
Yeah.
I honestly think it was Tony's way, even though, yeah, she was like one of the first people signed. But I think it goes back to that match at All In when it was her, Chelsea Green, and Tessa Blanchard.
Mhm.
They were great together, all three of them. That match, can't tell you much about it because I hardly was watching it because long story. But I think that that's where he saw her. And I think that that's where, you know, where it kind of lay, because nobody wants to sign Tessa. There was an article that came out. AEW, WWE, nobody wants her.
You know what's weird too is there's a number of WWE talent, AEW talent, and independent talent who are all still training with her. And she posts pictures of it all the time and stuff. And
Yeah.
Tessa is one of the world's greatest. And if she was that fucking terrible, why are all these people willing to and wanting to train with her, but not wanting to work with her? It's just a little bit weird to me. And I don't know the ins and outs of everything, obviously. We're just dumb drunks who like to talk wrestling.
Yeah.
But it does seem a little weird to me
Again-
at this point. I feel like at this point somebody should sign her. But at the same time, if she doesn't, you know, I guess it is what it is.
Hey, you know what? She still gets bookings, and you know what? She's all right, but I really think that she can really help lift somebody's women's division.
Yes.
Yeah, and make
think
it
so.
more of a standard where, because I mean, obviously, I've seen her wrestle Cage.
Yeah.
And it was brutal. It was brutal.
So let's talk about this real quick. Let's talk about Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. There's rumors that their contracts are coming up. And when I was talking about Daniel Bryan and AEW providing something that WWE is not, what I think is really fascinating and interesting right now is that AEW is providing to talent, to someone like a Ruby. WWE let her go and they missed the mark on her, they can say, right? Although, if you watch her matches and listen to the commentary, they always put her over as a future champion. They always believed she was going to be a big, big deal. But she never made it to those heights. Who's to blame for that? I don't know. But what WWE provides is, can you make it in this system on this level with this many eyes on the product, right? Can you can you survive through this machine, as it were, as it is right now? Where AEW provides talent, the idea of maybe you had the ability in WWE to put over whatever they gave you to put over, but can you put yourself over? That's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
And I think it's probably exhilarating. When you get to guys like Daniel Bryan, there's no more money to be made for him. He'll never live to see the end of his money as it stands right now. Right? His family's taken care of.
Yeah.
So the dollar amount's not the deal anymore. And the idea that WWE loved and respected Daniel Bryan enough to say, we will let you wrestle outside of WWE, which they don't do, is fucking phenomenal. But it does start meaning, if after WWE offered him probably crazy money, the ability to do whatever he wanted with their protective covering over him, you don't lose to who we don't want you to lose to, probably, and others.
Yeah.
What is WWE going to be able to offer guys like Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn when their contract comes up, and they can say the same thing Adam Cole probably said of, well, all my good friends are over there doing whatever they want, and I can go play with my friends and make the same money. And Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens will also not outlive the end of their money, and their families are taken care of. Like,
yeah.
I think it makes for an interesting dynamic. What are you able to offer people now? And I think that's where the competition comes in. It will be a competition for talent and morale and the ability for people to go over there. And Mick Foley put out that big video. If you check out Pro Wrestling for Life with Sean X Pac Waltman, he had a follow-up interview about that 1-minute video he put out in depth about what WWE, we have got a problem here. And the problem is that you can strive to be the best and be on top. But at the end of the day, if it's all about making money and you're making comparable money on either side, what are you offering your talent that the other person's not, that's gonna sway them over, right?
Yeah. For people like a Hobbs, Fuego del Sol, Guevara, even MJF.
Yeah.
What are you offering? You're offering these guys the potential to make it big. It's like just whatever you do with it. Because you know what? Like MJF, there's no denying that guy, such nuclear heat, okay, because he does it well. And he's one of these ones that, doesn't break the character at all. And, and then you have other ones who kind of flounder and, whatever. But at the end of the day, if Tony's going to continue to sign and pick up a lot of these guys that were released or their contract is up, some of these guys should be afraid of their spot, even though, you're not really using me much, but you should be afraid of it. Because I absolutely think that ones who should be afraid right now are people like Scorpio Sky. But then he's friends with everybody, And then,
but what is he getting there? Guys like, so I think that's what's going to be interesting. On one side, you're going to have WWE guys like Kevin Owens, Daniel Bryan, Sami Zayn, guys who grew up on the indies, who now their indie friends are making the same money they are and able to do whatever they want, and who know that they can get anything over. So there's really no negative to going to AEW. I can do whatever I want and get over. And then you're going to have guys like potentially Ricky Starks, Brian Cage, maybe even Hangman Page, who get so lost in the shuffle of AEW that they want to prove they're a main event star and go to WWE to prove they have the brass that AEW never let them prove because they got watered down by the WWE superstars. That's not to say that, like, because I'm also not about this other narrative. That simple narrative of AEW only hires WWE guys, I'm right on board to say that's a bullshit argument because AEW is only bringing in trained wrestlers.
Yeah.
Wherever they came from is irrelevant. But also, it's also silly not to offer guys who are big stars, big money, to get you more eyes because they're in those growth phases. Like, I'm not against them trying to, quote, bring in WWE talent. They're just trying to bring in trained wrestlers. And at this point, WWE is just pumping out incredibly well-trained wrestlers that they're not able to hold on to. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. I think going back to the Hangman, honestly, I always thought that AEW was not the right move because had he stayed in Ring of Honor, he would have become the champ. He was getting so big and he had such momentum and great matches like right before the end that I think that's a shame. That's a total shame. Yeah. And it also kills me that there are some people right now who are shown and focused very heavily that suck.
Mm-hmm.
And, I've had conversations with people who are on the roster and they all have said to me, they don't get it. Yeah. And I'm like, well, it's part nepotism and it's part in their own way of let's make this friendly for people. We need kids. We need,
Let's make it funny, but also
we need to sell more shirts.
As much as people say that WWE is an audience of one and it's all whatever Vince wants, so is AEW. AEW is an audience for one. It's whatever Tony wants.
Yep.
Thing is, it's easier for a talent to convince Tony he wants to see what they want than it is easy to convince Vince McMahon that what he wants to see is what they want. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just a tougher audience is all it is in WWE.
Yeah. And I feel
I'm not saying one's better or worse for it, but I'm saying that at the end of the day, when you see talent pushed on either side that you just don't get, it's because at the end of the day, there's one person making that decision.
Yeah, and I think it definitely sucks because, there's so many great things that can happen. And it's like, Jesus, man, you right now have 3, 4, 5, well, actually 3, you have at least almost 8 hours of wrestling.
Yeah.
If you were to actually use a lot of people on your roster, okay, even ones you don't see a lot, you will be surprised on how much there's a lot of good stuff. But if you're always circling back to the same people, you're not going to see it. I'm glad the Bucks don't have the titles anymore. I'm glad. I'm glad. I'm waiting for Kenny not to have that title anymore.
It's a weird thing, but I think there's a large consensus out there right now that agrees that once AEW moves away from the elite as their central focus, it'll get really good. And I think it's a really weird stance to have, being that the entire company was built around the idea that the elite were like not meant to be as popular as they were, and it turns out they're not as popular as they thought they were. You know what I mean?
Well, because I'll tell you why. Because when the elite was hot and on fire, there were elements to it that made it great. They're not all the elements are there.
Yeah.
And
it was a perfect time.
Yeah. And I think that, I'm not saying, because Mark's girl, but he was a huge part of that. Huge, and it without him, I mean, you can't replace him with like a Brian Cutler. There's no fucking way. Sorry. Yeah. No. And I think that, I wonder is what's going to happen when that's all kind of dying out. What's next? Because I really, as a person who watches it, if you're going to be pushing Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy, as much as I love Jack, I think he's an awesome person and an awesome wrestler. No, that would turn me off so much.
Yeah.
You know, now I'm not saying, oh, push Team Taz, you know, whatever. The Hardy family office is kind of weird to me.
Yeah, I fast forwarded through all the Hardy and Cassidy
Yep,
stuff.
I do too. Yeah. Then they really totally wasted, I think, Private Party.
Yeah.
That was a bad move. Top Flight, oh my God, those guys are great. Yeah. I mean, I think that there's a lot of future with those guys. And, you know, I can't wait to see them versus the Lucha Brothers. That's going to be pretty good. One right cool. There. But again, it's like, you know, the Elite, when they were a different unit, and even with Cody in it, and then add in Flip Gordon for shits and gigs, it was pretty damn powerful, you know? Yeah. And so, I don't know if you've seen any of this, but ROH had a storyline that Flip got rocked really bad in the head, and that he thought it was 2018 because he made like, oh, well, where's Matt and Nick? Like, I ride with them. They're my ride, you know, and just like referencing like Hangman and everybody. Obviously, we don't touch one. Yeah. But it was really weird and interesting. And I'm like, is this ROH's way of digging into, they want some of that Forbidden Door? I don't want the ROH Forbidden Door. No. The only people that I probably would like to see on there is their luchadors, Shane Taylor, LSG, obviously, because it's my boy. And that's it. I don't want to see Matt Taven up in there. No. Yeah. He sucks. Yeah. You know, so I don't know.
Cheers to Jared Lunar coming through. Cheers, Lunar.
Hey, Lunar. Yeah, I don't know what's the next thing. I'm hoping if Punk and this stuff happens, you know, because he does a little mic drop. I think we're gonna get Bitchy Ricky next week, do his own mic drop. I hope, you know, you know, and because this is like one of the things I think that he's wondered. He wants to, you know, he wants to go up against people that are on the mic, that are at his level or even beyond, especially the ones beyond. Because if you can smoke CM Punk, it's like, dude, you can shut him up. That's it.
I think he could. I really think he could. CM Punk's been so cookie cutter since he showed up. I'm not really impressed, but at the same time, I think that right now AEW made a huge turn it all out. I think this is the first time it actually showed big signings of things where it's like Adam Cole, I think we've already seen the best of his career and he just wants to fucking play it out with his buddies, and that's fine. I think that CM Punk has been so anti-WWE that he was just waiting for the right time to join AEW to like put a stamp on it.
You know?
Yeah. Ruby Soho was let go. Where else was she going to go? You know what I mean? And she had a lot of fervor behind her. She was a ready-made package, but Daniel Bryan to me was the big one because he's not anti-WWE. He just wants to have matches with people he can't have matches with otherwise, which I think between losing Daniel Bryan and Adam Cole, I think that's why we're seeing a huge shift as far as the rumors are concerned about what they're expecting out of NXT and what they want to do moving forward. I think they don't want to be losing guys they invest in that heavily if they're just going to want to go play with the competition because I love wrestling and I want to wrestle people I haven't wrestled before. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no, most definitely.
And because my wife's over there. My girlfriend's over there. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think I want that shit. Well, I used to wrestle with them for 10 years. I do think that it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. I think once their contracts are up, it's going to be real interesting because it's not like they're treated poorly there. No. It's not like they haven't done everything that they've wanted to do, but at the same time, they've done everything they wanted to do. So what's going to make them stay? Are they going to stay? I think there's a really good chance we see them in AEW.
They want to go back to 2006 Ring of Honor. All of them are there. Cabana, Punk, Adam Cole. You just need people like, is Roddy there at that time? I think maybe Eddie Edwards and Davey Richards, the American Wolves are back. So, you know, you never know. But I also think that there is still actually maybe one definitely big signing that's going to happen. And this is just my prediction. You've heard it first here. I really think that Bray Wyatt is going to come back and lead the Dark Order.
I don't know. This is the only reason I
Why
think
do
that.
you
Well,
not
for
know?
one, maybe. Right? There's no reason to say no. But for two,
Who else would though?
lead the Dark Order? I don't give a two. I don't even give half
Well,
a shit
they're
about
like
Dark Order.
crumbling. You know?
Yeah, they're
I
terrible,
mean,
but they've always been terrible. But
it depends on who.
I've not liked a single moment of any Dark Order moment.
You don't like watching Evil Uno and Stu Grayson? I love those two.
Not at all.
No?
If Dark Order were to disappear from existence in its entirety and they all came back rebranded, I wouldn't even halfway go, I wonder what happened to Dark Order. Okay, good, they moved on. The first second I saw Dark Order at the fucking Double or Nothing, I was like, this is garbage. Get rid of these fuckers. But I wanted to throw this out there because this was really interesting to me. As long as you're talking about Bray Wyatt potentially signing there, Sergeant Slaughter made a comment on Mick Foley's video saying, don't think Mick's comments were against WWE. He was just voicing his opinion on creating new talent. It's hard to watch characters and their dialogue being created by people who don't know what they'd sound like, right? And then someone made a comment saying, look what WWE creative team did to Bray Wyatt, which I also think is incredibly unfair because there was Husky Harris before Bray Wyatt. Like, I mean, there's a lot there. Bray Wyatt had a lot more freedom than that guy's giving him credit. However, Sergeant Slaughter then said, in defense of the WWE, Bray's injuries didn't help his early departure either. So it really makes me wonder, did Bray get released due to injuries? Was he injured to a point where they just couldn't use him anymore and it was like cut bait? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. But yeah, it remains to be seen. And I don't know. I think Dark Order is really only around still because of Brody Lee.
Yes, I agree.
I mean, that's the only reason why. And I thought it was very sad was it Dynamite? I think it was Dynamite. Because they taped at the United Center. And Colt got to wrestle at the United Center.
Yeah.
Big deal because it was sold out. Probably like maybe 19,000 people. Mm-hmm. And he was the one who, got the pin. They didn't even play his music. And I thought that was really sad. I was like, who who does that? I mean, this is a guy that he's like one of the fucking kings of Chicago. His fucking fat ass is all over on billboards everywhere with, 1 hour tees, pro wrestling tees, and all that other shit. And yeah, I mean, why wouldn't you do that? Mm-hmm. I mean, he got a good ovation from people, the big Colt Cabana chant. Yeah. But, and you could tell he was just so excited that, this is like pretty awesome. And it was good to know that he was at the United Center show and Punk was there, obviously. So, that was kind of bittersweet a little bit. Yeah. But still, it's like,
wouldn't it be incredible if Colt Cabana re-signed with WWE? So he's getting money from the AEW shirt sales, and he's also in WWE getting their money too.
They probably would tell him he has to cut that deal. He wouldn't. No
what do you mean the company has to cut the deal? It's his fucking other deal.
No, they don't want him to no.
Oh,
total conflict of interest.
Double dipping. Oh, that's the best part. That's what I'm saying. How wild would it be?
I know. But they don't want to bring Scotty Goldman back. Come on now. Come on now. Seriously. No. And also too, I think that that whole lawsuit thing too.
Yeah. Probably didn't age well.
did not age well at all. So, I think that yeah, I mean that's probably with him.
Yeah.
I think he'd rather just like retire completely than go there.
Yeah.
I mean,
I was
Honor.
just as a joke.
Oh no.
Was-
Oh, well, I'm being serious now. But like Ring of Honor, when he went back, they promised him a lot of things. Did not come into fruition. There got to a point where all he was doing was commentary. And the uppers above him said, you need to wear a suit. And he's like, that's not me. That's not my character. I don't do that. So he was wearing, then they said, well, compromise. Okay, well, then wear a company like polo shirt. And he goes, okay, fine. But what he did was he was wearing a safety pin on it. Basically, I guess someone said that's kind of a way to show you're protesting something. And he was protesting the fact that, they wouldn't let him be himself.
What's funny is Jim Cornette was on commentary for WWE when they went over to those like they weren't quite polos, but they were like button-up logoed shirts, and they told him they wanted him to wear them, and he always wore a suit. And when they told him he wanted him to wear it, he said, "What are you talking about? I don't do that." And they're like, "Well, yeah, but you're a commentator now. You're not a manager." And he goes, "I'll tell you what. I'll stop wearing my suit when Jerry stops wearing his crown." And they never asked him to wear that fucking button up. But
that's the best. And that's the best.
But
so yeah, but also let's go there. It took those guys a hell of a long time to finally get Colt in AEW.
Yes.
Yeah. And so and I'm like, dude, y'all have called him the godfather of independent wrestling. And he's the one who is helping you make most of your income from the damn shirts. So you would think that,
Yeah, they've been Johnny on the spot with it.
Yeah.
Well, Amanda, I think we're winding down a little bit.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Music. Okay. First of all, I marked out when Suzuki came out. Not gonna
I was going to ask you about that. That's what I want to talk about. What did you think of the Suzuki and Mox match?
Okay. I think I was at first, I was so excited. I couldn't wait. But you know what took me out of it? Was Kaze ni Nare not being played, and it got cut off. And I think that I was like, oh, someone's going to die. Can we play Lance Archer's theme? Everybody dies because someone is going to die. Don't know who. But it was like, damn, that's like basically telling, I don't know, like, the president speaking. And that's like having Kanye West cut him off or something and do something really random. Or, when Kanye West interrupted Taylor Swift that one time at MTV or whatever award show that was. Yeah. And I thought, oh, fuck. Right. And so that was all that was in my mind, is like, whose idea was that? Is that yours, Tony? Because you're going to die. That's all I could think in my head. But the match was brutal, as I thought it was going to be. It was amazing. I was like...
Did you like the match? Because I felt really underwhelmed by it. I was expecting a lot more. I felt like that Moxley was like going really soft with Suzuki.
Yeah.
I felt like that the biting segment really buried the ref for no fucking reason.
Yeah.
But like, you know what I mean? Like I was having a hard time getting into it. I kept trying to get into the match and then something would pull me out.
Well, like they did do one in New Japan, but I was kind of like, for the time allotment they had, I mean, it was all right. But again, like I said, I was still like, damn, I was going to die, because you don't do that. That's like, that's like, I guess like going to Disneyland and you really, really want a picture with Mickey Mouse, right? Totally do. And there's a line, and right when you get up to him, he goes away because it's break time.
Yeah, it's break.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much what that was. Yeah. But I think that it's now made me curious on who else is gonna come over from there.
Well, They've already announced there's going to be a Mox rematch. I think the match went so poorly they're going to redo it.
Yeah. And I think that I'd love to see Tanahashi over there. I mean, Tana with the good hair. I mean, that just, yeah, that majestic hair needs to be seen by an audience that's probably doesn't even know who the fuck he is, but then they'll be, damn, that's some beautiful hair. Mm-hmm. I know. I'm into his hair. No booty.
Yeah, his hair is pretty good.
Yeah. Oh, his hair is amazing. I asked Jeff Cobb because there is, I think like the first or second time when he wrestled for New Japan on one of their tours, there was pictures of Tanahashi doing his hair and flat ironing it. So the next time I saw Cobb, I was like, Jeff, you have to tell me. And he goes, tell you what. I go, how was it when Tanahashi was doing your hair? And he goes, imagine what it would be like to pet a unicorn. I go, fuck, that's beautiful. Mm-hmm. And I was with the two of us were being totally serious. I mean, it was not a joke at all. And I was just like, damn. I said, so did you touch his hair? Yeah. And he goes, no, you don't do that. And I go, well, I did before.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I just found this right. Someone sent a message to me of the Wrestling Almanac, and in there was the PWI 500 list. And one of the things they took note of was in 1997, mind you, this is after the Austin 316 promo of King of the Ring 96. 97 PWI 500, top 5. I'll go from 5 up. Number 5 was Lex Luger. Number 4 was Dallas Page. Number 3, Steve Austin. Number 2, Mitsuharu Misawa. And number one, Dean Malenko. So in the PWI 500 list, number 1 for 1997 was Dean Malenko. Wow. Number 2, Misawa. Number 3, Austin, fresh off of Austin 316. Like, you fucking out of your mind. If that doesn't tell you all you need to know about the PWI 500, I don't know what else will. But
that's interesting. I'm like, wow. Actually, I wonder now that you're saying this, because that's kind of weird. Okay, hold on here. So from 91 through, let's just say, from 91 to current, 91 was Hogan, 92 was Sting, and 93 and 94 was Bret Hart. Diesel was 95, Shawn Michaels 96, obviously Dean Malenko, so we're all shocked about that. Austin was the next 2 years, so 98, 99. Triple H, Kurt Angle, Rob Van Dam, Brock Lesnar, Chris Benoit, Batista. Then it was John Cena for 2 years. I think that was Jort's time. Anyways, Randy Orton, Triple H, AJ Styles. Whoa, The Miz in 2011? Oh,
he's been around forever.
I know, yes. Well, oh, yeah, by the way, I didn't know he was on Dancing with the Stars, so I can't wait to watch that.
Yeah.
That's the king of reality TV. Now.
Well, Amanda, I don't know if there's anything else was there anything else going on that you wanted to touch ground on?
The only other thing I think that's been going on is it's going to be very, very interesting now that, because what's next as far as the big ones go with WWE? I mean, what's next? Royal Rumble?
The next one's Survivor Series.
Survivor Series.
We got Extreme Rules coming up and then Survivor Series after that, yeah.
Yeah, so, well, Extreme Rules is, I don't consider that one
it's not a big one, but it should have some good matches.
But the next bigger one would be Survivor Series, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and then I don't know with AEW, I can't remember what it could be.
Yeah, I have no idea.
I have no idea. But what I do know is that I have a feeling that depending on how fast they are doing some of these programs with people, I'm really hoping that if Punk does something with Starks, it's in an area that's more for Starks than Punk, because I think that would be the game changer, because that would show that, Punk, you're not a draw everywhere, dude.
I do think that's going to be the interesting bit. Once we start seeing Punk in different parts of the country where other people are over, I think it'll be really neat to see what happens with that too. Yeah, but I will say, like I was saying before, AEW to me made a big turning point with All Out. I think with the signing of Daniel Bryan, and Daniel Bryan not being the type of dude to shit on WWE, makes AEW look cooler in a lot of ways, and it makes it interesting. And I think it's what's putting eyes on AEW right now with Daniel Bryan more than anything. They got their highest rated show ever with Daniel Bryan coming on, not with anybody else, because, like I said, a lot of their audience has always been exactly the audience they've always catered to.
Yeah.
Daniel Bryan, I think he was a little bit of a different shot. It was, hey, wait a second. Here's a guy as much as people want to pretend, because this is their thing. Hey, guys, Adam Cole and Daniel Bryan and CM Punk were all wrestlers before WWE. They were. They were all minorly known before WWE. Daniel Bryan wasn't a fucking icon until WWE. He was just a good wrestler in ROH. Bottom line. Yeah. CM Punk was just a tape-traded guy.
Yep.
They got their platforms through WWE. So the idea that people are trying to undermine what they did in WWE, the idea that people are trying to undermine what they did before, all of that stuff combined is what made them who they are. So, yes, I do think that their star power makes a big difference. And I think that the star power of Daniel Bryan has made the biggest difference. And I think now, in the next 6 months or so, we're going to see a bigger shift. We're going to actually start seeing, I think, a shift in what WWE is doing as a result of AEW, where I don't honestly feel like we've seen much of WWE stuttering at all because of AEW. I think we are going to now. We're going to start seeing some stuff change because of AEW, where I don't think we've seen anything change yet.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, I do want to point this out too with Punk. I really hope they do Punk Cabana. That's mine. But when they were wrestling together, all over ROH, wherever the hell they went, Cabana was always the one who was the better wrestler. I'm just saying. So that's where your best in the world is. Guess what? There are people that are better.
Anyway, Justin Times in the chat does say, damn, AEW cutting off Suzuki's entrance. I was pissed. He said their Dynamite match was okay, but it was definitely not better than their U.S. title match in Japan.
No, that was a good one. Where is that? Nagoya, I think? I don't remember.
And then somewhere. Justin also says Full Gear is next for AEW, I believe, in November. So I don't know.
Ooh.
We'll see.
We'll see. Yeah. Well, we'll see.
Anything else you wanted to touch on?
No, but there's some coffee over there. We haven't talked about it all today.
Absolutely. We do want to thank Flow State Coffee, which is a specialty grade coffee with L-theanine and raw cacao for productivity and creativity. Gives you better energy, focus, and mood than a regular cup of coffee while decreasing negative side effects like anxiety and blood pressure. If you go to newwave.co, NOOWAVE.co, and put in promo code CHEERS, you can get 10% off whatever's going on over there. If they have a sale, boom, an extra 10% off. If they don't have a sale, boom, 10% off the top. We invited Greg, the CEO, on there to come on today to talk about the state of AEW and their rise, as it were. He was not able to make it, but we're going to get him on soon enough and figure out a time. We definitely talked about it. But check out New Wave Coffee. Yeah, I thought you'd have a good time talking with him, but
oh yeah,
he was unable to make it due to a bachelor party, I believe. So,
well, you know what? Even better drinks. Probably not on your dime, but someone else's.
Yeah. Well,
oh yeah,
I think this is pretty cool. I actually was a little bummed out Klump didn't make it because I do think that AEW is going to start becoming the thing he always wished it was, that always makes him frustrated. So I think this next year of AEW is going to be like the year to be paying attention. Although the Dynamite I was unimpressed with overall, I do understand why people are really into the stuff. I do think it's really exciting what they're up to. I'm waiting for the thing to catch me that's going to catch me. You know what I mean? I've given it a ton of tries. I've watched and stopped and watched and stopped, and I bought all their pay-per-views the first year. I stopped buying them after that. We could get into a place where it starts becoming a thing that's worth watching. However, I think the biggest drawback to AEW, if I had to give one thing that I think is honestly going to be an issue for them, is they still haven't figured out a way to make a story throughout the show. So the show does come out super fragmented, which means it makes it very easy for me as someone who doesn't want to sit through the whole show to not have to. I can just go to their clips on their Twitter and their Instagram or their YouTube and see the only segment I wanted to see anyways and move on. So they haven't done anything that's latched anything through it. There's no through story. It's almost like a YouTube channel where it's like, here's this segment, then this promo, then this segment, then this match, then this segment. It's so diced up that there's no reason to watch the whole thing if you don't like everything that's happening. If you like everything that's happening, there's every reason to watch the whole thing, you know? But it is what it is. We'll see how it plays out. I'm excited to see what happens to AEW this coming up year. I'm excited to see how WWE responds to it. I'm excited to see the change of NXT next week.
Yep.
And we will be back here for a brand new episode 1 to talk about it. Are you excited to see next week's new changeover?
I can't wait.
Can't wait.
It's going to be interesting. And the format is going to be interesting. And actually thinking about who's on the roster right now, how is it going to be good for them or is it not? That's where I'm thinking about like a Cameron Grimes, even though he's so much over. LA Knight, man, damn, he needs to be on regular TV.
Yeah.
That's all I know.
Yeah, he needs to move on.
And Cross, same thing. But you got to let him do the whole thing, because without Scarlett and the entrance and everything like that, it loses its intensity, I think.
It does. So we're going to see what happens with that too.
Yeah.
So we will see, and we will be back here next week for a brand new episode 1 right here in the dive bar of the IWC. I'm at Ref Marsh. We're at WOTR the show. She is at Miss Amanda Jane with a Y. And we'll be back here next week for a brand new episode 1. Cheers, everybody. That's the last call.
Cheers.
Hey, producer Lady here. Thanks for tuning in. Continue to support us or buy us a drink by following and putting the I in subscribe on Twitch. Or subscribe and review our podcast on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to us. Cheers!
I would never have a drink with wrestling on the rocks.